Good morning, all. It's August 5th, 2025. It's after 9:30. The Board of Lee County Commissioners meeting will convene. I just want to acknowledge Commissioner Greenwell. He's on the phone with us. Commissioner, can you say hello?
I can. Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning. Thanks for joining us. Commissioner Greenwell will be on the phone the entire time, listening to all the procedures. If you just raise the volume a little bit, that'd be great. But thank you, Commissioner. With that in mind, if we could have the invocation from Kyle Strome. Kyle, you here? Thanks. Thanks, sir.
Let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for a day that we can come and we can discuss issues of our city. But Lord, I thank you that you're the God of the big and the God of the small. So we thank you for the sunshine this morning. Lord, thank you for our city. Lord, you put leaders in this city. Lord, you put people in position. And so, Lord, right now I pray over our leaders. Lord, give them wisdom, give them discernment as they make decisions. Lord, I pray that distractions would cease. Lord, I pray there would be unity in this room today. Lord, I pray that we would not lean on our own understanding, but that we would lean on you because you're the director and orchestrator of our lives. Lord, we thank you. We give you praise. We give you glory. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Turn to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. Thank you. Okay. Here's a couple of presentations. Commissioner Pendergrass.
Good morning. Cecil Pendergrass here. I'd like to have Pablo and the staff from Animal Services come forward. We have a special guest in the house this morning. We have Ariel here. She's a 5-month-old looking for a home, and once you get her down here, maybe somebody can pick her up so they can see what she looks like, how adorable she is. Well, that's her in the picture with me this morning, so.
Oh, get her, Dave. Wow, she's a cutie.
Dave, your wife needs you to bring that dog home. If you could pick her up so they can see her, but Pablo, you want to tell us what's going on in Animal Services, what programs are going on this month of August, coming out of this month?
Yeah, thank you for having us here. Yes, this month is Clear the Shelters, and it's one of our biggest events, and it runs through the end of this month. And adoption fees have been lowered to $20. And then our main event is the 23rd, Saturday the 23rd, from 9 to 4, and all adoption fees are waived that day. So we look forward to having people come out and see us. We are also doing a kitten adoption event on Thursday with the Sheriff's Department. We're going out to their outreach center from 11 to 1, and those adoptions are waived as well. So we look forward to having folks come out and see us.
If you could turn around, everybody can see how gentle she is and how calm she is. She was like this all morning this morning. So if anybody needs any pets, we have plenty of Animal Services. We have microchipping and everything. So again, thank you for your service. Thank you for your staff, everything you do.
And she's going on the floor today, so.
I'm sorry?
So she's going on the adoption floor today.
Yes.
Do we know, is she full grown or will she get bigger? Or?
No, she's 5 months old.
She's 5 months, so she's full grown? Wow.
Yeah, she's gonna get a little bigger. You want one?
I don't know.
She's ready.
I'll spot you $20.
You got to talk to Miss Hammond.
She definitely would be a nice lap dog one day for somebody, and she'll make a family a great pet, though. So, Pablo, thank you again, and hopefully she'll find a good home today.
Yep, we will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next is the recognition of Phil Burnett. Commissioner Muller.
Thank you. I'd like to welcome up Phil Burnett and his team for this proclamation, please. And I'll read the proclamation and offer you a chance to take a picture with us and say a few words.
there or here?
No, you're spot on.
Thank you.
All right, so good morning. So this proclamation, whereas Phil Burnett, Esquire, legal counsel for the Housing Finance Authority of Lee County, Florida, is celebrating his upcoming retirement after approximately 43 years of commitment and legal guidance to the Lee Housing Finance Authority, having been engaged by the authority as its attorney shortly after its inception in 1982. Phil, in addition to his private law practice, has dedicated his time and efforts to advance Lee County HFA and its mission to provide financing for affordable single-family and multifamily housing to low, moderate, and middle-income qualified applicants to improve the quality of life for all people in Lee County. He supported Lee HFA's board members by helping to set up the rules, policies, procedures, budgeting, and financial reporting in single-family program and multifamily program guidelines. Wow, that's a lot. Whereas Phil provided his support and expertise to the Lee HFA as it evolved from a relatively small single county issuer of bonds to becoming the lead issuer for single-family financing in Florida's Region 8, now reconstituted as Region 11, supporting the residents of 7 counties, which include Charlotte, Collier, DeSoto, Lee, Hendry, Sarasota, and Monroe. It also serves other jurisdictions around the state that participate in its single-family programs, and it is the issuer of bonds for multifamily housing projects in Lee, Charlotte, and Sarasota counties. Whereas Phil advocated for and guided the Lee HFA when it initiated and achieved the unification of all jurisdictions in Region 8, now Region 11, into a unique multi-county cooperative agreement for the benefit relating to state multifamily volume tax exempt cap allocation so that each county is assured of being able to create multifamily housing. Whereas Phil has made a positive and significant difference in providing and administrating the tools needed for the advancement of affordable housing for Lee County citizens and also citizens of the aforementioned counties. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of Lee County, Florida does recognize and thank Phil Burnett, Esquire, for his invaluable service in providing affordable housing for the residents of the counties in Region 11 and in other jurisdictions for the past 43 years. Signed by our chair, Kevin Ruay. Great. Congratulations. Thank you. That's for you. Please come up for resolution.
Congratulations, yeah.
We'll do that in just a minute. We got a picture first, and then we'll give you a few minutes.
Thank you. Good morning. I'll count us down for a couple of photos. 3, 2, and 1. And one more. 3, 2, and 1. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, fellow commissioners. Before I start, I can only say I appreciate the opportunity to have served as counsel for the authority for all these years. I must admit, when I first started, I didn't have a clue as to what the heck we were doing because it was in very formative stages, and the authority has never received any funding from the county or anybody else. But it's through its membership, and the chairman here is Walter Barletta, who is a real guiding force in making this happen. And the rest of the members have been solid, progressive, and imaginary, trying to make everything happen to get affordable housing here. The most recent member's been on the authority 7 years. The oldest tenured member's 37 years. So they've been through the game, and they know how it's played, and they've done a masterful job of making it all work. So anything that I should get credit for, the authority really should get the credit for it. And they're now up to where we had in Lee County, multifamily housing. The authority has created 1,905 multifamily units, and in Southwest Florida, including Charlotte and Sarasota, it's up to 2,905. So they're building affordable housing as much as we can. Our big issue for y'all's benefit is tax-exempt volume cap. So stay alert, and we appreciate your help. And in addition, we've done multiple, millions, I think, or at least hundreds of thousands of single-family financings over the period of years. And I just appreciate the opportunity to have represented the authority, and thank you for your support for me and the authority. Thank you.
I would just like to add a couple of comments. I was appointed to the authority in 1988, and you'll identify with this. The first thing Phil said to me at the first authority meeting was, "You're the swing vote." And I took that to heart, and fortunately the authority evolved into a 5-member authority, which myself being part of, I became chairman shortly after. And we've worked real hard with Phil's support and guidance in being able to provide the affordable housing numbers that Phil mentioned. I think one of our biggest achievements has been the unification of the bond cap that's allocated to each region every year, and to come up with a cooperative interlocal agreement with those jurisdictions, so it's not a winner-take-all circumstance, which is what we inherited when we first started. Phil is the foundation for that. So I appreciate you taking the time to have the proclamation and give him the honor that he definitely has worked hard for and deserves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice job. Next, we'll move on to the recap. I do have C-28 that we're going to defer to the 19th. I do have C-69 that we're going to also defer to the 19th. We do have a second draft continuing budget hearing at 1:30 this afternoon. And those are the items before me for the recap.
Chairman, if I could ask a question. On our public hearings, number 87 is the last item. Is it possible to move that forward before 86? It's for time constraint for staff and everybody that's the parties here.
Sure.
Just move that forward, so there's the last hearing waiting for the long one. Okay. We'll move
Commissioner has a
86
motion?
forward. Move the 87 forward of 86.
I'll second that. A motion, a second on the floor to move up number 87. Any public comment? Motion, a second. I'll close public comment. I'll bring it back up here. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed?
No objection.
No objection. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. With that in mind, consent agenda. Commissioner Hammond, you'd like to pull anything?
Nothing today, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Pendergrass?
No items.
Commissioner Malkin?
No items.
Commissioner Greenwell?
No.
Great, and I don't have any either. With that in mind, can I entertain a motion for the consent item?
I'll move approval, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second that.
I have a motion on the floor by Commissioner Hammond. I have a second by Commissioner Malkin. I do have public comment from Marcia Ellis.
Good morning. Thank you.
Morning.
Marcia Ellis for the record. So I had a lot of confusion as to why the maps on the conservation easements were changing and what was happening there. It wasn't until I showed up here and I saw on the recap that that item, as well as the Wild Blue intersection, have been pulled. So I am glad about that. I will point out that this parcel is like the scoop on the ice cream that is constantly disappearing and being used for various purposes. It's been in mining conservation, it's been in road conservation. Now we're looking at conservation associated with the reclamation, the sewage facility. So I hope that you guys have an opportunity to work this out and that the public continues to be aware of how these conservation easements are being exploited. With that being said, I'm going to point out that there have been a number of acquisitions or Basically, I think that there's opportunity with these petitions to vacate property and the conservation or not the conservation easements, but the utility easements that are out in Lehigh Acres. As a member of Eastleigh Wildlife, which is a group that advocates on behalf of wildlife in Lehigh Acres and that part of the county, that there are gopher tortoises everywhere, particularly in those disturbed utility easements. And I think that there could be an opportunity, and I would really like to urge the commissioners to work with our organization to evaluate these properties that are coming up as vacated to serve conservation purposes, similar to what has been taking place with the burrowing owls out at Cape Coral, and also to recognize the unique disturbed conditions that the gopher tortoises gravitate in these utility easements, where unfortunately they're being entombed, they're being destroyed, because this is a source of pride and a source of amenity for our community. Our people out in Lehigh Acres love their gopher tortoises, and I think we have a missed opportunity, and I would like to see additional cooperation on this matter. Thank you.
Thank you. If we can refrain from comments, people are going to obviously make comments today that you may be in favor of, you may not be. If in this chamber, we just try to make sure there's no clapping, no hissing, no speaking out loud. If we could abide by those, have respect. Everyone has an opinion. Everyone has a contra opinion, and I think both sides in any situation need to be heard. But just indicate that. Any other public comments on the consent agenda? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. I'll bring it back up to the commission. We have a motion, we have a second on the floor. Any objections? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Now we'll move on to the administrative agenda.
Mr. Chairman, 81 is an action on behalf of the Port Authority. Port Authority for only, and here for the staff presentation.
Switch our hats from Board of County Commissioners to for the Port Authority. Duly noted. Executive Director, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. For the record, Stephen Hennigan. Motion requests authorization of the Executive Director to execute all documents on behalf of the Lee County Port Authority related to grant agreements from the Federal Aviation Administration. That's for the acquisition of 2 aircraft rescue and firefighting crash vehicles, as well as for the rehabilitation of taxiways Alpha 2 and Delta 3 at Page Field. Happy to answer.
Any questions? Seeing none, can I entertain a motion?
I'll move approval of the requested motion.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Hammond, second by Commissioner Pendergrass. I'll open it up to public comment. Any public comment?
Marshall is for the record. I do live just south of the airport, and I'm a receiver of waters coming from the airport, so I always pay close attention to what's going on there. And I was happy to see this item on the agenda reminding us that we have a federal nexus at the airport, and that those FAA funds that are coming in to our community also carry with them an obligation that we utilize those regulations, those guidances, those circulars, the statutes that are all put out on that most restrictive, with that most restrictive clause that we adopt and we follow those federal regulations, and that this is just a reminder of these investments coming in and what that means for us and also our community obligations. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? I'll close public comment. We have a motion, we have a second on the floor. Any other discussion regarding item 81? Seeing none, any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. County Manager, item 80, I'm sorry, let's reconvene as the Board of County Commissioners. We are now proceeding there. If we could move on to number 82.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This item is to execute CDBG-DR intent to award for Southward Village Phase 2. I'd like to ask Mr. Sawyer to present the item.
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. This item issues a contingent, non-binding intent to award up to $18.875 million of CDBG-DR funds for a City of Fort Myers Housing Authority sponsored project. This project would build 102 affordable rental units. I do just want to remind the Commissioners that this step just authorizes staff to negotiate this deal, perform due diligence, come back to the board at a future date with the proposed terms of the award. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.
Any questions? I'll gladly move the item.
I'll second it, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Rain, second by Commissioner Hammond. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. I'll bring it back up to the dais. Any other discussion?
Just last question. Do we have any information on when the construction will start on this one?
Yeah, Commissioner, I think, I don't know if I apologize, I'm not sure we put that in the agenda item itself. The completion deadline is December 31st of 2027. I would have to ask Marcia Davis, the Executive Director of the Housing Authority, to tell us when construction would commence.
Okay, great, thanks.
Good morning, Commissioners. Marcia Davis with the Housing Authority, City of Fort Myers. We're right now in the closing process with all the bond, the debt, and the equity, and so the CDBGR funds are the last funds. We anticipate closing in October and having a groundbreaking and starting then.
Okay, excellent, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, anyone opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Number 83, County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is to approve project resolution for Cape Coral Bridge. I'd like to ask Mr. Price to present the item.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rob Price with DOT. On July 1st, 2025, Lee County received location and design concept acceptance from FDOT for the preferred Cape Coral Bridge build alternative, concluding our PD&E study. Lee County now has the necessary approvals to continue design of the build alternative and to begin right-of-way acquisition phases while also pursuing federal and state funding for construction. Today, I'm asking the Commissioners to approve a resolution to formally accept the Cape Coral Bridge replacement and roadway improvements from the PD&E study. Following this item, County Lands will request approval of the resolution of necessity to kick off right-of-way acquisition for the project. And we're available if you have any questions.
Any questions?
We're excited to see this moving forward. Thank you.
I'll move the item.
Second.
I have a motion by Commissioner Rain, Commissioner by, second by Commissioner Pendergrass. I'll go to public comment. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment, bring it back up to the dais. Any discussion?
Was that Commissioner Greenwell trying to jump in the discussion? Commissioner, did you have something?
Commissioner, do you have something? I apologize. Thank you, Commissioner Hammond. Commissioner
No, I
Greenwell.
just, I was trying to second it as well.
Okay, you just tried to second it. Thank you. Appreciate it. We have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Item number 84.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This item is to adopt resolutions of necessity for Cape Coral Bridge replacement project. I'd like to ask Mr. Clemens to present the item.
Good morning, Commissioners. Robert Clemens, County Lands. This is a request to adopt a resolution of necessity for the Cape Coral Bridge replacement project. This will allow us to proceed with land acquisition along the McGregor corridor as part of this project, be it voluntary or involuntary acquisitions. The alternatives were considered for this project. Safety concerns were addressed. Environmental concerns, cost estimates, and long-range planning were all part of the process of approving this alignment. Any questions?
Move approval, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I'll second it. Motion by Commissioner Hammond, second by Commissioner Wayne. I'll go to public comment. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. I'll bring it back up to the dais. Any discussion?
Just wanted to say, I think this is also one of the parts of the Cape Coral Bridge construction project that is exciting for drivers, because not only will we have the wider bridge, but we're fixing or working to fix the intersections on either side of the bridge, which also seem to be choke points, you know, in your morning or afternoon commute. So this will give us the land necessary to have more room to build in improvements to those intersections. Thanks, Chairman.
I agree. Any other comments? Any opposition? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. Number 85, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Jacob, I have your first public hearing this morning. This is a public hearing based on a petition to extend the external boundaries of the Del Webb Oak Creek CDD. Staff and the County Attorney's Office has reviewed the petition and find it legally sufficient and appropriate to amend the boundaries as proposed. The item has been advertised and is available for your decision today.
Any
Chairman, I
questions?
yield to the district commissioner if he wants to jump in and make a motion this morning.
Yeah, Commissioners, I would actually like to jump in and make a motion to approve.
I'll second it, Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Greenwell, second by Commissioner Hammond. I'll go to public comment. Any public comment on number 85? See none, I'll close public comment. I'll bring it back up to the dais. Any discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll go to item number 87.
Good morning, Commissioner. Linda Swindle at the County Attorney's Office. I have your public hearing this morning, which has been legally advertised. This is a public solid waste disposal and solid waste system assessment rates, charges for the tax year 2025 in accordance with the ordinance. After the rates are adopted, staff will finalize the assessment roll, and that'll come back to you on September approval. If you have any questions, staff.
For staff.
Yes, I have.
Sure. Amanda?
I'm not sure you're right.
Okay, I don't know who. Sorry.
Good morning.
So with the projected rate adjustment that is proposed before us today, based on the information you gave us on one of your spreadsheets, over the last 2 years, we lost over $20 million in costs that were increased by the actual cost of the solid waste haulers with their revised contracts, correct?
Correct.
And how much will the shortfall be this year if we only raise the rates to $1.81?
Thank you, Commissioner. It's Rebecca Rodriguez, Solid Waste Director. So we will have a shortfall on collection costs with the rate increase proposed for this year. And the shortfall for 2026 would be 6.8 million.
Sorry, I can't hear you.
6.8 million on the collection costs.
Okay. And then it projects out from there. You guys all got the same chart. So sure. I will admit I'm a little bit concerned with those shortfalls because if we're paying money out of reserves to cover actual costs of service, that's money that we're not spending on upgrading our facilities or recycling equipment. And if we want to extend the life of our landfills and other things we've been concerned about with only a 15-year window of what was projected for landfill lifespan, I'm concerned if we don't budget accordingly for the rates that those shortfalls, you can buy a lot of recycling equipment for $7 million, right? $20 million in revenue that we spent the last 2 years was the same amount of money that we spent on the Hurricane Milton and Helene Island cleanup costs. We had to front that money out of pocket for FEMA. So I'm concerned that if we only raise the rates from what you explained to us in our briefings, that enough to cover our bond rating exposure and not actually cover our costs, that we're going to put ourselves in jeopardy for a significant amount of money. And I wanted to see if any of my fellow board members had any interest in discussing a different number than $1.81 today. That might get us less of a shortfall. I think we had some presented numbers brought to us today, but I just want to understand the playing field first. I want to understand the playing field of the money and how many millions of dollars shortfall it was first.
Understood.
Do you have a thought or a recommendation what would be if you want to do something different?
Well, so me personally, as a business owner, I said you can break even forever, but you can't lose money for very long. I would personally support adjustment to a $4.72 rate per month versus $1.81, but I'd be happy to discuss any middle ground with the board if they wanted to split that. $4.72 per month gets us to break even this year. If we did half of that, and we split it over 2 years, we could break even in 2 years and then set up a system where if we have cost increases, you know, whatever the cost is passed on as it goes, it would be a predictable amount because we have more catch up to do now because we didn't raise anything for the last 2 years to cover these new contract costs. Is that so? Any discussion? Any feedback?
Chairman, I'll ask a couple questions just to clarify, because I think it's important to understand. So I think when we had talked about this, are we already on kind of a glide path to close that gap over the next few years anyways with what you were planning to recommend for the rate adjustments over the next few years? Or were we planning to have a gap continuing forward?
Correct. So the current rates proposed allow us to get to cost neutrality on the collection side by 2030.
2030? Okay. So I think, you know, just kind of the philosophy or the thought was instead of doing the whole jump at once to get to that break even, it was to try to phase it in or glide into it over a couple of years just so that the residents weren't hit with a larger adjustment all in 1 year.
Sure.
But, you know, do you, I guess I'd love to ask the question, what would the difference be if we tried to catch it up in 1 year to the person at home? What would they experience as far as an adjustment?
I'm trying to find the email from yesterday. There was a 25% increase in the rate was the break even, the $7 million shortfall. What was the number for the 12% step increase yesterday?
So for an average 12% step, that would
Split it
be
in half for 2 years.
That would be an excuse me, an impact to the resident for 2026 of an additional $3.24 per month.
Okay.
Total. $1.81.
For the assessment.
So it includes the original $1.81. So
Oh, yes. Yes.
it's a total of $3.24.
Correct. Instead of 181, 324.
And that's collected on when they get their property tax bill as a one-time lump.
So 20 bucks a year.
It's $38.88 per year for that
Total,
option.
but that's on the increase of.
Correct. It's the
recommended rates
increase
is
that would
$20
bring
difference.
the residential assessment to $373.27.
So about $1.43 increase from the 181.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I have a question. How does this affect the commercial element also? What's the increases there based upon your assumptions and then what Commissioner Malika is suggesting?
So the initial assumption with the 6.7% increase would be a 4% increase to disposal. And then with the other option, which would be the average of 12% increase, that would be a 3.65% increase to disposal.
Do you have a dollar breakdown?
It's
Or an
minimum
8-yard
on the
dumpster,
disposal
or commercial
side.
that gets twice a week pickup or 8-yard commercial dumpster?
I don't have that information. We can get that for you, though.
And that's the second element of this. We have the home pickup, then you also, that cost outside of the commercial element is going to be passed back on to the consumers already at an increase at home, and that's what I'm concerned about. So this is another increase too that we pass on to the consumers, which would be the residents we're talking about from $1.81 to $3 something a month. Okay, thank you.
You obviously use an outside company to help you do your projection going outward. With what was at least initially thought, I'd imagine these subsequent increases would go down from what you were projecting?
Yes, for the initial proposal, the projections were for the 6.7% increase for this.
Can you talk a little louder? I'm sorry, I'm really having a hard time hearing you.
Yeah, no problem. So the proposed rates for 6.7% this year would continue to be about the same through 2030. And that's when we would achieve cost neutrality on collection.
But my question is, if we go to the higher rate, And if you're saying 181 and we get to cost neutrality at 2030, we
Correct.
obviously get to cost neutrality quicker, correct?
Correct.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to understand, the trade-offs that you do to try to get to revenue neutrality.
So for the increase, that 12% that the commissioner noted, that would still get us to cost neutrality in 2030, but subsequent increases would be 4.8% as opposed to 6.7%.
So lower increases in the future.
Correct, and as the other commissioner pointed out, a smaller decrease on the disposal assessments.
Different question, when was the last time we raised the rates on this?
We raised the rates last year in an amount similar to what we're proposing for this year.
Okay. Do we have a normal, and again, this is just for the audience's edification, do we have a normal annual, like CPI increase on a fund like this in the enterprise fund?
Excuse me, we don't have one set. We do have CPI increases on our contracts, though, so our costs do increase, and our contracted rates are about 80% of the department's costs.
And obviously, you bring in Riftalis, it helps you with the net revenue neutral, but we didn't have such a firm prior to this, right? To constantly work on revenue neutrality.
Yes, we have been working with Riftalis. So we have been working with Riftalis over the past years.
In the past, they've been, I guess the question, Commissioner Mulliker, if we're working with someone in the past, how do we get to a $20 million deficit?
Sure. For part of that was large increases in our collection contracts from fiscal year 23 and 24. So those large increases were initially covered by reserves.
So our plan for the increased was X and the actual increase was Y.
Correct.
Causing the difference.
Yeah.
How, is that just a one-time occurrence, or is that something we've experienced going back to the $20 million, which we've been losing money for a couple of years now, right?
Yes. And that money's been funded by reserves. So we have been able to cover the shortfalls.
Reserves in the enterprise fund?
Pardon me?
Reserves in the enterprise fund or reserves out of the general fund?
Reserves in the enterprise fund.
Okay, okay. Just want to make sure I understood the points.
So we were pretty close to break even through 2022, 23, 24, is when it kind of
Around 2020, 2021, and I'm sorry, I don't have the exact number.
2020 through 2023, we were pretty close to par.
Correct. Yep.
And we fell off the way at 24, 25 with the rate increases that we have. How many more contracts are going to renew in the next 24 months that we haven't experienced yet?
No, we'll keep our collection contracts through at least 24 months.
So our costs that we have now are predictable through?
Our costs are set. We do have built-in CPI increases in our contracts.
That was like the 1.2%?
Correct.
As part of the consent
Yep.
agenda. Okay. So is there a way we could possibly consider, again, maybe the 12% number, whether we split it over 2 years or 4 years after that, to mitigate this, and then maybe we could direct staff to create a program going forward that gave us a CPI or, you know, a predictable measure where it wasn't an annual vote? Is there a way to do it, maybe a 3 or 5 year look ahead at a CPI program? Like you've mentioned things like tolls that don't increase with time, but eggs don't cost $1 a dozen anymore. You know, there's a way to index that to be predictable for consumers so that we can budget accordingly and look ahead with some certainty. I just want us to recover our costs, because whatever money that we lose now is money we can't do another service with. You can only spend $1 one time. And I'd rather see us buy recycling equipment and sell that recycled goods for money and make a profit than just burn the money in landfill more because we didn't have money anymore.
Understood. And we can come back with a workshop? Or,
Depending on the board direction,
yeah.
That's totally up to the board.
I have a question.
Yes.
Rebecca, based upon the item before us today, do we lose any type of services in 2030, between now and 2030? Do we lose any type of expansion or any other type of services within our system now under this projection of this rate increase?
No, we still have funding planned for the capital projects that are on our books.
And you mentioned earlier in the prior conversation reserves, maybe Pete can give me this number. What do we currently have right now in the enterprise fund reserves for solid waste? Total right now, a ballpark figure, I'm going to use a Mike Greenwell term here, ballpark figure of the enterprise fund for the reserves for the solid waste? What do we have in that approximately?
Commissioner, I'll have to look that up. I can get that to you in a few minutes here. Let me look that up.
Thank you.
I think to Commissioner Pendergrass's point is, depending on what we have in reserves, obviously they do fluctuate. The reason why you have them, it basically is the citizens' money. So I appreciate Mr. Malka's thought, but if we have enough reserves that we ultimately initially collected from the taxpayer, then we should go through those reserves before we just go and do a quick increase. That's why the reserve number would be really important.
And I want to know what that number is, so I agree, but those reserves also have money for storms in case we have God forbid, another one that we need $20 million to front the money for FEMA as well.
Chairman, may I ask the attorney a question too, real quick?
Absolutely.
Floor
is open.
Yeah, for the county attorney, just a quick question. I know we advertised this public hearing with a certain rate adjustment. If we were to go above that, is there any concerns or worries about that related to the advertisement and the ability to amend what we advertised and go with a higher rate?
Mr. Chairman? No, sir. You're free to adjust upward or downward as you see fit during the conduct of this public hearing.
Okay. Thanks.
And my question was two-part. It was the reserve is also to make sure we don't lose the opportunity for expansion. We obviously need to expand our solid waste facilities, and obviously landfill expansion is always something we're always looking at, and expand our recycling and our burners. But the enterprise fund was, obviously concerned about that, make sure we have enough reserves, and also a lot of that's already dedicated to bonding. I think Pete has the number now.
Yeah, Commissioners, it's $105 million. I do want to caution, just kind of on the fly here, that that's the combination of all reserves. Some of that is dedicated toward capital, and other we keep held for storm recovery. So
do we know how much of it is already dedicated for bonds already? Is that some already been dedicated for bonding, the $105 million?
our last payment on our bonds in solid waste is, I believe, October 1st.
Okay, thank you.
What's the follow up on that? Since we're talking about bonds, what's the covenant ratio that we have to adhere to? 1 time?
The coverage ratio, I believe, is 1.2.
I'm sorry?
1.2.
1.2. Okay, that's just germane. Yeah, so I like the discussion that we took place. I would like to see if we can come up with a dollar amount. CPI is always tough to propose because you don't know what that's going to be. Sometimes, I'm sure with the outside group that we have, fixing a number would be easier. I governed in Sanibel, certainly did that. And then each year, we looked at where we were, what type of expenses we had, and we would literally vote. So I look at sewer and water being an issue. And we said, through the help of the same firm that you're using, let's do 3%. Mm-hmm. And as years subsequent, we went through discussions, looked at the information. There were many times we can go to 2, 1, and there were times we didn't have to do anything. But it was just an easier projection because when you do it to CPI, it's a variable. You never know on how that looks. I think we're trying to look at more of a 10-year outlook. We're trying to understand what we need to do. And again, CPI is just, you could look to 3 different indexes. I'm sure I'll get a different CPI to the point where, I like a flat number. So it's just something we dealt with in the past. What's the board's pleasure?
Just please note, even if we went the full increase, which I'm only proposing half of that, but the average rate for Lee County at full recovery rate would be 381, and the average for counties like us is 462. So we're 20% below average, and we have unlimited pickup service in Lee County. We don't just say if it's in the can, it's extra. If you have extra things, you can put whatever you want on the curb. I mean, we have a very high level of service right now, and that's why it costs more. But I was happy to see us at 80% of index of like counties. So thank you for doing a good job keeping the costs low.
No, Commissioner, I'd love to tag on to that. Some context for people who may be following the conversation and obviously didn't receive the same level of briefing we did. I was pretty impressed with the briefing that our staff met with us. They showed us a really great presentation on how we compare to counties of similar size around us throughout the state. Counties like Hillsborough, Palm Beach, City of Tampa, and even Martin County. And so we provide an unlimited garbage collection to your house. The service is you put it out at the street and we'll come pick up your garbage, your recycling, and pretty much anything you put out there, we're gonna haul away. And we do it for about, like, it says $346.99 is our residential assessment average. So that's like $30-something a month. We come and get everything out of your yard, out of that you put at the curb. And the comparable areas are at $462 a year. So, you know, they're $100 more, $120 more than what we're doing to provide less service. All of them were not unlimited. In fact, you had different limits on their service. So we provide a really good service compared to our peers, if you will. But we have been, for the last couple of years, using our reserves to continue to provide that level of service. And I think what Commissioner Mullica is talking about is, let's go ahead and actually set a rate that would still be lower than our peer set, but would allow us to not have to use reserves anymore to continue to provide the same level of service.
And I agree with all your comments. And if they're restricted rate of capital, if you need to go into reserves and you're shuffling money out of a particular expenditure that you didn't want to. It's not like we have 105 in undesignated reserves, 105 that are designated in certain areas. So another concern just is what's undesignated are really available. What would be your great conversation, great point?
So let me formalize this for the motion, and if it's appropriate, I'd like to make a motion to do the, rather than recapture the whole 25% now on the option 2, I'd like to split it so that we can stagger that increase over 24 months to break even. And that'll, if we split that $7 million over 2 years, that's about $8 million ahead in the 2030 projection window, because it would have been a $15 million loss the way it was projected out here. So I would like to see us do the 12% increase as proposed this year and next year to break even in 2 years.
Okay, so, and I'm sorry, may I recap?
I'm sorry?
May I recap?
Please.
Okay. So that would be for the 12% combined option, which becomes 16.3% on the collection and a 3.65% on the disposal, combined to 12%. And then we'll come back for next year with a proposal or with some additional information on having a plan for routine increases or some sort of a CPI modifier.
So we can only make a 12-month recommendation each year. Is that what I'm understanding?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
You formally set the rates each year, but you can certainly set the policy to give staff direction how to prepare for next year's rate assessments.
Okay, so I'd like to make a motion to do the 12% measures that you just described.
Okay.
And then I would like the board to approve giving staff direction to prepare a like policy agenda item for next year.
Okay.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Okay. Motion on the floor. Any thoughts, any revisions, any comments?
I was waiting to see if somebody would second it.
Me too.
Yeah.
My concern is,
Go ahead.
is obviously it's great intentions. It's just my concern is I look around other cities and counties, I see a 26% increase of taxes in the town of Fort Beach, and other cities raising a millage, you know, in the other counties, and then we set our millage yesterday, kept it standard. Staff's done a great job based upon their assumptions of this. It's a smaller increase. I just hate to hit the residents after what we've done through the last 3 years with another rate increase. Even though it's a small amount, it's still a rate increase, and there's also a rate increase to the commercial haulers, which we pass back on to the consumers. And that's my concern for that is I understand we need to have a great solid system. It's great to have the funds with $105 million in reserves, dedicated, not dedicated. It's kind of hard for me to go back out to my neighbors and tell them we're raising your rate and we have that much money already in reserves. So that's my concern. That's why I didn't second it.
Great point. Pete, follow-up question on the 105 is what part of that is designated, what part isn't, and what is the capital? Are there any capital improvements that are forecast in the next 5 years to deplete those?
Commissioners, I do know that a portion of that 105 is dedicated to a pay-as-you-go portion of the capital improvements. I don't have that exact figure, and I did want to clarify that the last bond payment is October 1st of '26, not this year. So I don't have that number, but I would say a not insignificant amount of those reserves is used for capital projects.
That we're already accounted for, so theoretically, it's anticipating in the next year or two and paying those improvements, correct?
Yes, a major pay-as-you-go project right now is the life extension project at the waste-to-energy facility.
Thank you. I'll second the motion for discussion.
Commissioner Greenwell, I'm sorry we didn't, sometimes it's hard to remember your card here, I apologize.
That's okay. I was going to second it, so it was, we have a second, it sounds like.
Yeah, second for discussion, Commissioner. I don't know if you have any thoughts, opinions, anything that you'd like to put on the record.
No, well, I think on the record, I feel like that it makes a lot of sense for us to continue to pay as we go, and not continue to rely on money that's coming down the road. So I was going to second the motion before Commissioner Pendergrass did. So I would be on board to agree with it.
Commissioner Greenwald, I second the motion, just for clarity. Commissioner Wayne did, so.
I'm sorry.
That's okay, that's okay. I just
anyway.
wanted, for the record, when you said Commissioner Pendergrass, I wanted it noted that I second.
Yes, sir.
No problem.
Thank you, Chairman.
We have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? Anyone opposed?
Aye.
I'll object as well. I'm okay with the glide path we were on to 2030. So.
Motion carries 3-2.
I appreciate the honest and open discussion, everybody, so thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that.
It was a good discussion, Commissioner. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to have that.
It's a lot of money. Thank you.
Sorry? I'm sorry. Thank you. Honestly, it's really hard, Marcia, with your numbers. I didn't see.
It's a mess today. I apologize.
It is hard to say. I do apologize.
It's very hard, and yeah, practice is a thing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I didn't see 87, but okay.
Yes, Marcia Ellis for the record. And so I just listened to some excellent conversation that took place around our solid waste situation here in Lee County, and some real honest acknowledgement of some of the vulnerabilities that we have and what we're looking towards. Because we have recently had a life extension that has put $85 million into extending the life of the waste-to-energy incinerator in Buckingham. That really took place without convening a public meeting out there to discuss it with the community. And that permit is coming up in 2026. Additionally, we could run into a situation where that 30-year plant that has exceeded its life capacity could catch on fire like the one in Doral did and literally burn down to the ground, down to ashes. And then as a community, we would be left saying, where are our reserves? And we're tripping over $1.40, $1.60 per person. But let's think about the negative externalities that are shifted onto the community out in Buckingham who are shepherding the burden for the burning that's taking place out there, the negative health outcomes, the birth defects, the exposures to the contaminants that come from burning trash, as well as how we could drive ourselves literally off the cliff by considering adding a second incinerator up on off Emerald Road in this community. And plenty of communities have literally walked off the proverbial plank, putting in these $150 million facilities. Let me backtrack on that. 1.5 billion is what they're looking at over in Miami, and then no way to pay for them, or having to literally import trash into our community. So whatever reality pill that we need to be taking as a community about solid waste, I suggest that we take right away, and I do commend the commissioners for bringing forward these discussions that are reality-based about handling our solid waste in this community.
Sorry, Marcia, I didn't call you before, but obviously the motion went through 3-2. So I apologize, I didn't see the number, and I'll certainly make sure. Was there anyone else that wanted to have public comment? I didn't see a card, I didn't see a hand. So. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 86.
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Jacob, Assistant County Attorney. I am here on this item. This is been a long time coming. The ordinance is available for your review today. It has been legally advertised. This is the Boca Grande parking ordinance. We have already provided the notice of publication to the clerk. This is the ordinance that was directed by the board on June 17th to be presented at today's hearing with the minor adjustments to the formatting of the ordinances. We are here to answer any questions that you may have from the county attorney's office, as well as the individuals in the public who were sponsors of drafting the ordinance. If there's any questions, obviously we're here.
Okay. Any questions for Michael? Thank you. I am going to make a motion to move this item forward.
Second?
I have a motion and a second. We'll now go to public comment. I have about 60 cards. Our process here is that you put your name, where you live on the record. If you could avoid, there's going to be differences of opinion. We've certainly been inundated. We'll get avoid clapping, hissing, booing, whatever, things of that nature. It would be really helpful. I know it's a passionate issue. I realize people have different opinions on this. Moreover, if you put a card in and you would prefer not to get up and speak for 3 minutes, you could say, I'm for it. You could stand up, say, I'm for it or I'm against it. Again, like I'd indicated, we do have a 3-minute rule. I will certainly, we do have a green light, we have a yellow light and a red light. When it's yellow, there's a minute left. At 3 minutes, I will certainly cut off. We do have a budget workshop this afternoon, so I'm just trying to make sure we get that as well, but there are 60 cards, and with that in mind, it'll probably take about 3 hours to do. So just want everyone to understand what we're up for. With that in mind.
Excuse me, Chairman, if I may interject an opportunity to possibly make an amendment to your motion?
Sure.
Just based on some of the, we've gotten thousands of emails and feedback, so sure. I'd like to introduce a few minor, what I think are minor considerations for the board's consideration prior to public hearing, and so can circle back on that. So I have a few things. One, for this whole ordinance is about public safety. Primarily, I would like to make a recommendation that angle parking downtown be changed to compact or golf cart parking only. Right now, I can't park my pickup truck in front of the temp and not stick out into traffic without blocking the sidewalk. So if you're a little old lady or a baby stroller, you have to walk into incoming traffic to get around the truck if they're in one of those angled spots right now. I think we should raise the fee if you block somebody's driveway to $500 and tow them. I think that should just be unforgivable. If you block a fire hydrant, $300. I'd like to see the downtown parking at 4 hours. Access for fishing and kayaking charters. And I would like to restore the beach accesses to make sure that Governor Scott and Governor DeSantis' orders for public beach access are maintained. So those are my amendments for consideration.
Michael, give me some guidance on what procedurally we advertise this ordinance. Obviously, an ordinance is a breathing document, has the ability to amend. What guidelines, what information, what type of counsel can you give us based on the changes that were just talked about?
Okay, all the items that were just listed are parts of the ordinance that are either being amended or are available for amendment to this and through this process. Your motion on the floor is to approve the ordinance as it has been presented. And there's been a second. So in order to allow these amendments, if you want, if they're all good for you, then the motioner and the seconder will have to agree to amend their motion to include these items. If there's one or two or some version of that you want.
Maybe more on point. What flexibility do we have? And what I'm trying to avoid is having a substantial change.
Correct.
From a notice point of view, and I'm just trying to get your opinion that based on what you've heard, whether we want to embrace them or not, would that be substantial in nature?
Correct. Nothing that was just discussed would be of a substantial nature to cause us to have to re-advertise.
So, thank you.
And just to be clear, I'm willing to discuss them as a bundle, one at a time, yes, no, each.
What's your first item? If you could read them.
So number one item, angle parking downtown. I would like to restrict that to compact cars or golf carts only for public safety reasons. Can't fit a 24.
I have a procedural question. Real quick for our attorneys, are we able to discuss the amendments after we hear from the public? Because we may even hear more things from the public that, you know, as opposed to discussing all this ahead of time. Or would that cause us to then have to do?
Can we have one speaker speak? Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, would that cause us, if we did wait until after the public comment, would we have to do it again then?
Mr. Chairman, you can proceed in a number of manner in this context. Right now, you have a motion and a second on the ordinance as it was contained in your backup material. You have suggestions by a fellow commissioner for amendments to that ordinance. That has not been the subject of an amendatory motion, nor has it yet been accepted by the motion maker in the second. Therefore, they are not currently on the floor, so to speak. From a non-legal perspective, in terms of how to proceed in the least restrictive means at this point, I would suggest, having had those points put out on the floor for discussion, it may be most beneficial in terms of time and citizen participation, knowing that those items are up for discussion. They can come forward, have a discussion on the entire ordinance. They are free, of course, within their 3 minutes to discuss the issues raised by Commissioner Maleko or anything else. At the end of the public comment period, then it might be the most productive use of time for the board to take up whether there is support for Commissioner Maleko's amendments or not. And if there's not support, you still have the original motion to approve on the floor.
I appreciate your comments. I kind of was in the same camp as Commissioner Hammond. I thought, as we listen to all the public comment, there may be some additional tweaks, there may be some additional adjustments, and we could do that as a whole, or at least have a discussion. There's 6 items. Let's just talk about how we tweak those, what do we do. I think that would be cleaner.
I'm happy to informally lay them out on the table for consideration, and I can read through them clearer now, or I can repeat them again after the public hearing, whatever you prefer, but I just want to make sure I voice those concerns that people asked me to bring up for your consideration and discussion. I think we'll have a lot of good discussion. I look forward to the public input, and I don't want to cause a double meeting. I just wanted to make sure that I got those points out there because it's important to all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, the motion maker acknowledges the comments. I just think from an administrative point of view and from a cleaner point of view, everyone will understand what we do, tweak to this, and move this into public comment. That's what I'd like to do as a motion maker. Second, okay with that?
Yeah, so we'll go ahead and go forward with public comment and then have a discussion on any amendments afterwards or whatever. Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the comments. First speaker is Brew Carbonari. Again, if you could state your name on the record, where you live.
Sure.
That'd be great.
Bruce Carbonari. I'm president of the GICIA and also a 20-year resident of Boca Grande. I just want to share the macro view of why we're so concerned about what's going on. I just want to share 2 sets of facts. The first set of facts is, I think everybody knows, Boca Grande is a barrier island. It's 2.2 square miles. It's Sanibel's 8 times bigger than we are. Even Minnesota Key is larger than Boca Grande. We have a limited infrastructure, and I think everybody agrees with that. We can only handle so many people on that island, water, sewerage, whatever. The second set of facts are very simple. What's happening over our bridge, across our bridge, the growth that's happening there is staggering. If you look at it, since 2020 to 2024, The population in Charlotte County, the population in Venice and Northport have grown by 51,000 people. 51,000 people, okay? That's an 18% growth rate during that period of time. How many new golf parking spaces are there? Golf beach parking spaces addition during that time? 77. So we have 51,000 people who are entering that community, and we only have 77 additional parking in that same community. All right, so let's look forward a little bit. 2025 to 2028, the next 4 years, what's expected to grow off island? Same area, Charlotte County, Venice, Northport. 50 to 60,000 more people in the next 40 years. How can that be? Well, just Northport alone in the last 2 years has issued over 30,000 single-family home permits. 30,000 times 2, that's another 60,000 people. Boca Grande cannot handle this growth off island. So if you look then and look at all these communities where in fact is the parking. There is no approved additional beach parking anywhere in any of those communities. So we're going to absorb 100,000 people with 77 new parking spaces. We can't handle that kind of growth in Boca Grande. We have to have some type of structure. And this is what this is all about. The community, after 15 years, has come together. We battled ourselves. We finally come together with a plan, which is what we're hopefully voting on today, that we believe we can manage this. We can manage it for ourselves. We can manage it for our visitors, for our businesses. And this community has done a great job managing this island. It's the most unique island in the country, and we need to preserve it. Thank you.
Rich Weber.
My name is Richard Weber. I'm a Lee County resident residing at 102 Carrick Bend Lane in Boca Grande. The proposed Boca Grande parking ordinance amendment is a reasonable compromise between the competing interests of residents, off-island beachgoers, Boca Grande businesses, and the churches on Gilchrist Avenue. It accommodates 227 unrestricted public parking spots for off-island beachgoers, protects parking access in town for shops and restaurants, and restricts parking in residential neighborhoods. Boca Grande has always welcomed visitors, and that will not change with structured parking. As Bruce said, Gasparilla Island is a small landmass of only 2.2 square miles, yet with passage of this ordinance, Gasparilla Island will maintain 227 dedicated Gulf Beach parking spaces, or 103 spaces per square mile of landmass. Charlotte County, on the other hand, provides only 390 dedicated Gulf Beach parking spaces, despite having a landmass of 694 square miles. This equates to only 0.5 dedicated Gulf Beach parking spaces per square mile of land. Charlotte County is blessed with 2.5 miles of state-maintained beaches on the Gulf, namely Sump Pass and Don Pedro State Beaches. These are two of the most beautiful and pristine beaches in all of Florida. Yet Charlotte County provides a grand total of only 60 parking spaces for these beaches. In the case of Don Pedro, access is further limited by the lack of needed ferry service. For reasons unknown to me, ferry service to Don Pedro State Beach was discontinued many years ago. I get that creating more Gulf Beach access is a priority for the fast-growing number of residents in Charlotte County. I suggest we harness the energy in this room to petition Charlotte County, the state of Florida, and the Barrier Islands Parks Society to facilitate more access to Stump Pass and Don Pedro State Beaches by adding beach parking capacity and restoring the Don Pedro Beach ferry service. Such investments would be modest in comparison to the needs of the community. Thanks for your consideration.
Thank you. Thank you. Next speaker is Carlos Rodriguez.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'm Carlos Rodriguez, and I'm a resident of Boca Grande, obviously Lee County. And I just wanted to speak in favor of the parking ordinance. And I also wanted to say that I'm very sympathetic about the situation, and I understand that there's two sides to every argument. But I also wanted to point out that I'm assuming all of us have visited many other beach towns in Florida and also in other states. In the last several years, I've been paying more attention to this topic and have been to places on the east coast of Florida, west coast of Florida, also New Jersey, Maine, Massachusetts. And I can tell you that if you support this ordinance, you will not be alone, because every town, every beach town in the United States has faced this issue, and every, I think, beach town recognizes the need to balance the needs of residents as well as visitors. So I just encourage you to please support the parking ordinance and to balance the needs of both the residents and also of the visitors. Thank you.
Thank you. Sharon Brunson? Sharon Bronson? Sharon, are you here? Sorry.
I just want to say that I agree with the public parking.
With the ordinance?
Yes.
Thank you. Terry Pygott?
I'm a resident of Lee County. I live on the island.
I can't hear you, sorry.
Okay.
You're gonna need to, sorry.
I'm just going to say support.
Oh, Chairman.
If you just want to waive and support,
Yeah.
that's fine, I'll gladly do that. Anyone that wants to waive against or support, you don't want to speak, just say, I'm against it, I'm for it, and we'll move on.
There you go. But if you want to speak, please come to the.
Yeah, I mean, by all means.
But if you want to speak, yeah, you're going to
Yeah,
have to come
by
get
all
it on
means.
the microphone, right? That's-
Karen Kovach? Karen Kovach.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for having us today. My husband and I have had a property on the Gasparilla Island for 32 years. We currently live in the Charlotte County portion of the island. We strongly support the community-based parking ordinance. Passing this ordinance is an important proactive step to protect the fragile environment we all love and want to preserve. Sorry, my voice is cracking. We want to preserve it for our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren. So we are asking, and that's for everyone here today, whether you live on island, off island, visit for 1 week. So we are asking you to please consider passing this ordinance. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Jessica Taylor?
I actually made packets for each one of you. They said I could hand that to them, yes.
Hi, my name is Jessica Taylor. I live in Powell Creek Circle, North Fort Myers. I'm here today not just as a neighbor, but a voice of a community that's been suffering for a decade. I'm talking about a property in our neighborhood that has become physically, emotionally, environmentally dangerous. It is filled with piles of junk, rotting garbage, broken furniture, old vehicles, and more. It's crawling with rats.
Excuse me, are you talking about Boca Grande?
No.
Okay, this is
Oh, I'm
comments
sorry,
on
I
Boca
thought it was
Grande.
public. I put in the thing that was just a public comment for a different.
Sorry, it just didn't say a number. Okay, we'll come back to you, I apologize.
Okay, sorry.
This is for Boca Grande only.
Okay.
The cards aren't necessarily as filled out as thoroughly as I'd like, so I just want to understand
I
that.
put in the comment that it was for.
No problem, no problem. Sorry if I overlooked it.
I'm glad there's not piles of garbage in the street in Boca Grande right now.
Robert Levine? Robert Levine.
Thank you, Robert Levine, and I lived on the island for 7 years until last year, and I'm still a member of the Boca Grande Historical Society, and I'm concerned as a member of the Historical Society about a long time segregation that happened on the island. 70 years ago, we had a strong African-American community living there. They were redlined and discriminated off the island. Right. Gone. Seawalls were built subsequently, controlling, keeping affecting turtles. I'm also a member of Turtle Patrol. I was a member of Turtle Patrol. I'm not on the island anymore. But I'm concerned that this ordinance is another message to Florida residents, people of color, working class people, all socioeconomic groups, that it's a message to them that you're just not really welcome anymore. Just like it happened 70 years ago to the African Americans. You can come, but you got to park down by the state park where it's more dangerous. Sharks, very dangerous for them to be shuttled down to the south end of the island. And as a turtle patroller, we picked up the garbage the next day. We had no problem with it. There was some garbage out there, no big deal. We welcomed all the beachgoers. We would sometimes golf cart them into the town to enjoy the community. Anyway, I don't think this is supportive of the people, and we took a pledge here today talking about injustice for all. We finished our pledge today, injustice for all. Please consider justice for all the people, especially the working class who struggle 6 or 7 days a week to come out to the island for a few hours. I don't live there anymore, but I did not see it as a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin McLaughlin.
Yeah, my name is Kevin McLaughlin. I live on Boca Grande. I'm also a shopkeeper there. I just want to say I'm in favor of the ordinance as it's written.
Thank you. Barbara McLaughlin.
I also live in Boca Grande with him, and I am supportive also of the ordinance as it's written.
Thank you. Kathy Johnson.
Good morning, I'm Kathy Johnson. We've been a long-time residents on Boca Grande, and we have 7 children and 9 grandchildren. I'm speaking on behalf of my husband and I, my husband could not be here, and our 7 children. They are very in favor of the parking ordinance for the safety and environmental reasons. Thank you.
Thank you. Bariglio Jesus.
Totally different card.
Okay. Seth Parat.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. My name is Seth Peretta. I am a resident of Lee County. I also live on island. I just want to say when we bought on the island 5 years ago, and when we were thinking about where to go and where to make a home, and this is for my husband, we have 2 daughters of color, what really resonated was the welcomeness of Boca Grande. We really appreciated the fact that it was accessible to everyone. And I think what's up here today is a very sound, very considered compromise. That is about balancing the needs of the island with the needs of both Charlotte County residents and Boca Grande residents. And in the last 5 years since we've been on the island, the inundation of folks onto the island has been palpable and has been noticeable. And to do nothing would be the easiest thing, but it would be the wrong thing. Because as the stats before were mentioned, 61,000 new homes or residents, it is an untenable situation where it stands. I did want to mention on the angled parking, I very much appreciate that idea. I think we're very focused on making sure that businesses continue to have customers, and we think limiting it to golf cart parking there might be challenging. So I think we understand the interest in it, but I think for the businesses, we generally favor angle parking. The other thing is there are 100 parking spaces that are under the sort of authority of GICIA. And my understanding is those are currently sort of, they have the ability to sort of make adjustments as they see fit to monitor for the community. My understanding is right now, they're fairly unlimited. And so on that point about 4 hours versus 2. I think if we went to 4, it would largely sort of undo what we're trying to accomplish here, which is to manage access to the beach, which is to say, come, please join, come enjoy your day. But at the end of the day, we're trying to balance all of these competing interests. So just really appreciate it. Thank you very much. I know this is a tough situation. I was a policy attorney. I understand it is tough to weigh all of these issues. And I encourage you to take a long-term view of protecting Boca Grande on behalf of Lee County. Thank you very much.
Marcia Vaccaro.
Hi, Commissioners. Thank you for hearing us. My name is Marcia Vaccaro. I'm
Can
in
you raise
Port
your voice?
Charlotte. Is there a microphone here?
Can you raise your voice? Sorry.
I'm in Port Charlotte, Florida, South Gulf Cove. My husband and I relocated to Southwest Florida 10 years ago, and we fell in love with the area. Boca Grande is a favorite of ours, and we spend time patronizing the businesses over there. And we trust that you will take the time to formulate a plan that's good for everybody here, not just the wealthy on the island. Obviously, 2 hours to benefit the island for us coming over there isn't enough time to do that. It was always my knowledge that Boca Grande isn't a private island, and it seems like everything that I'm hearing today, that's where they want to go with this, by limiting everybody and discriminating against like people that can't afford to live there. And I don't understand why that would be there. I get the fact that it's a beautiful island, and when we're there, we take care of it. We pick up after ourselves. I understand parking is an issue, but I'm thinking that with all of you, can you not come up with a reasonable compromise that you can make parking areas or charge more or do something? I mean, we all want to benefit from that island. And I just feel like the way we're moving forward with this, like the gentleman said, it's discrimination. It's discrimination of people that are working, and some of the people that are living over there, they aren't even there full time. And then what happens to the businesses, the restaurants? There are people that I know that work there, and they aren't for this, and maybe they couldn't be here because they are working, because they don't have the privilege to take off on a whim and just, you know, show up at a hearing and have themselves heard. So I think it's a shame that they're trying to turn Boca Grande into a private area that we all can't benefit from. And I'm hoping, you know, the island is meant to be enjoyed by everybody, and let's not discriminate against other people. Let's find a way to make it work for all of us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Joe Spiropoulos? You approve? Okay. Shannon Gallant? Shannon Gallant?
My name is Shannon Gallant, and I live in Placida, Florida. I am a retired school teacher, and I moved to Placida a number of years ago. I've given my entire life to supporting communities and families. We purchased our home because it had access to the beautiful beaches where we could walk and kayak and spend our time and some of our money in the restaurants and supporting the local businesses. So what I'm hearing from these parking restrictions close to the beaches that are safe for us to go to, only the residents are allowed to park there. I'm willing to pay to park there. I support this gentleman's suggestion that anybody who parks illegally should be towed and punished. But I feel like as a resident of Placida, we're all being punished. We all love Boca Grande, and all we want to do is spend our time and our retirement there. There are many in my community who feel the same way. It is discriminatory against those of us who don't make billions of dollars a year. And also, there's a state law that says that we all should be allowed to access the beach, all of the beach, not just the little portion at the end where the other gentleman mentioned there's sharks and currents that are going to wash us and our grandkids away.
So I implore you to be fair, not discriminatory. We're not here to ruin the island. In fact, all of this growth, all these people are not going to the Boca Grande Beach. If I went there today, I can promise you there's nobody there because it is the off season. But I wouldn't be able to park there and walk and watch the sunset the way that I should be allowed to do, the way the state says that I should be allowed to do. So I thank you for your consideration. I respectfully ask that you think about all of the residents, not just the rich ones. Thank you.
Kathleen Turner, please. Please don't clap. Honestly, it's not fair to either party. Kathleen Turner.
For the record, I'm Kathleen Turner of Boca Grande. I have been, lived and worked on the island for over 38 years. My parents purchased the old theater building in 1978. So we're coming up on 50 years of being involved with our precious island. My concerns with this parking ordinance are multifold. Some of it I certainly agree with, as far as some of the restrictions, but my concerns is how is this going to be implemented? I understand there's 4 different types of passes. A, residential, decal, or coded sticker. B, hotel guest, which is a placard. C, employee, decal, or coded sticker. And D, house guest, which is a placard, who can only park in residential areas. So concern the official parking zone map. How is this distributed? How do people digest it when they come to the island and understand exactly where they're allowed to park, where there's limited parking? Those are some of my concerns. My concerns are we own a commercial property and parking lot that is private at 321 Park Avenue. We've owned that building since 1978. We have put our lives and our livelihood in restoring that building, and I currently have 8 tenants in our building. They rely on off-island folks as well as on-island folks I have a restaurant, I have 3 retail spots, and 4 office and contracting and businesses that require people to stop by. I also work with Michael Saunders, which is on 4th Street, where we have folks that come to look at property, and they might want to take a golf cart ride around town and leave their car parked in front of our business while they're out shopping to perhaps purchase a beautiful home in Boca Grande. I am for the 4-hour parking downtown. I think that's feasible as far as being able to come over and shop and eat and enjoy the beach a little bit. It's a lot better than 2-hour parking. That really, I'm concerned about the viability of the businesses, and I also do not know how this could be enforced. And I think it's confusing at best for people coming to visit, and it is a deterrent for people to come over and enjoy our beautiful island.
Thank you. Captain Bobby Woodward.
Hi, good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Captain Bobby Woodard, Fly 'em High Charters, owner-operator, resident, taxpayer of Charlotte County, and second-generation tarpon fisherman in Boca Grande. Also the Southwest Regional Director of the Florida Guides Association, not to be confused with the Boca Grande Fishing Guides Association, although I am a member of that as well. Today speaking personally and on behalf of the Florida Guides Association. The first point that kind of stuck to us, the board, when we spoke about this is we're very big on public access, public accessibility to a public resource. The Florida Guides Association was a huge partner in passing Amendment 2 to the Florida State Constitution last year, the right to fish and hunt. If somebody wants to come fish from shore, from the beach of Boca Grande, that's a public access or a public resource. They need public access to that. That's inherent to have a right in the state constitution to be able to fish and public resource. You have to have access to that resource. So that's number one. Moving forward and diving a little bit deeper into like the decision-making process. Anytime there's a issue, you have to look at both sides, right? Positives and negatives. So we discussed the negatives of any potential restrictions, which there needs to be regulations, but that's separate from restrictions. From the negatives, the economic impact on the small local businesses that are downtown. I've spent literally my lifetime on that island, and I can tell you with certainty that the local businesses must rely on off-island support. There's no way that the island can self-sustain it, especially in the off-season. And then the only positive we see from this is that the homeowners who bought property knowing that there was public access next to their house and that people were going to be on quote-unquote their beach out back, they bought that property knowing that that existed, and now they're wanting to change it. So it just feels very restrictive, and we would like to see some sort of proposal moving forward that keeps the public access to the beaches, maybe a pay-to-park system such as we had here. I mean, I paid $9 to park and have an opportunity to speak this morning. So we're not against some sort of regulation, but also understand that anytime you have regulation, it's only as good as the weakest level of enforcement. So there would need to be enforcement as well. So thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Terry Whiting?
Hi, Commissioners. I'm Terry Whiting. I live in the Charlotte County portion of Boca Grande, and I'm in full support of the ordinance as written.
Thank you. Louis Sarkis?
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for a chance to speak today. I'm Louis Sarkis, and I live in the heart of Boca Grande on Railroad Avenue. I'm here to urge you to support and pass a beach parking plan. This plan, this solution, has taken more than 15 years of thoughtful discussion, negotiation, and compromise. And today, I can say with confidence that the Boca Grande community is united. After years of division over this issue, our community has finally come together. Through a lengthy and inclusive process, residents, stakeholders, and local organizations have reached meaningful compromise, most notably agreeing to sort out long-standing issues on Gilchrist Avenue, something that once seemed impossible. That alone speaks volumes about how committed this community is to finding common ground. It's not just talk. Over 1,000 of our residents and our property owners and supporters have signed a collective letter backing this plan. And since then, hundreds more have taken the time to send individual emails, each one expressing the same message. Now is the time. Now's the time. As you have seen, our community overwhelmingly supports this plan, and the reason is very straightforward. Because this plan preserves Boca Grande's historic character while addressing safety, accessibility, and fairness. It balances the needs of our residents, our visitors, and our businesses, and it does so with careful thought to both tradition and practicality. We have tried to fix this for 15 years, and finally, we've succeeded in building something that our community supports. Now, we urge you to stand with us and pass this plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Nicole Killian? Nicole Killian?
Hi, Commissioners. Thank you. I'm Nicole Killian. I am a Charlotte County resident and business owner.
At first, I was not going to identify my business, but I think that it's important based on some things that were said today. So I am the concessionaire at Don Pedro Park. I heard today that maybe we should consider an alternative ferry out of that park system. I want you to know that the park island beachside has been closed since Hurricane Ian. Since, there's just been so much damage. From working within the state park system, they are unable to speak. I will speak for this issue because I think it's important for you to know that Stump Pass is still closed. Don Pedro, the access there, there's no timeline on when that's going to reopen. I think it's important for you to know that as you move forward with a plan when it comes to access. I do understand why residents have concerns. I get it that there was a lot of traffic this year. I really think that part of that traffic was because Gasparilla Island State Park was the first park beach open after Hurricane Milton and Helene. It took a very long time. Manasota Key beaches did not open first. They just didn't. Also, everybody was impacted from this storm. So there's been a lot more construction vehicles. The parking obviously was going to have impacts this season from all of these issues. I do think also it's important to note the tax implications from eliminating parking. There is a cost share burden to taxpayers that is going to have to be, transparent as to who's going to pay that tax burden and where that's going to come from. I'd like to know, is it going to be TDT? Is it going to be the residents of Boca Grande? Is it going to be your constituents? As a Charlotte County resident, it's also impacting our TDT. TDT is tourist development tax, which is paid for by vacationers when they stay in hotels or vacation rentals. On average, for Charlotte County, it saves the average household $1,000 a year. That goes towards our, usually towards property taxes, towards helping lower that amount. Your constituents also benefit from TDT. So this is important for your constituents to know where this money is going to come from and how that's going to be allocated. So I am in support of fair solutions, transparent solutions. I think it's really important that transparency is, here in government systems, and I appreciate your leadership on that. And I urge you to come up with a solution that is actually community-based and takes into consideration all the issues, not just, parking. This can be dealt with first through enforcement and not elimination. Thank you.
Thank you. Jane Plucknett. Jane Plucknett.
Hi, yes, I'm James Pluckett. I'm a resident of Charlotte County, live in the community of South Gove Cove, just down the way. My wife and I and our guests are very regular visitors at Boca Grande. It is a jewel of an island, as we all know. We are very regular visitors. I use the fishing charter, and I would agree with what the charter captain had said earlier. I don't know how a 2-hour parking would work if you're going to take out a charter, because you need to park your car longer than that. And we go over there regularly to support the businesses, and when we're year-round livers. So they're right. During the summer, we're supporting those businesses and restaurants and stuff like that. And a 2-hour downtown parking, in all the years that we've been here, we've never parked downtown and then walked to the beach. This year was an abnormality in terms of the crowd. It was, as she just mentioned, all the construction vehicles, all the other beaches being closed, that pushed all the traffic to this area. I don't think people park downtown and go to the beach under any normal circumstance. The thing that I don't understand is the beaches are public, the streets in the neighborhood are public. When those residents bought those houses, they knew they were public, and now they want to have a permit that says the public can't park there. This has been going on for some time. I think there's over 400 parking spots that used to be public that the homeowners have now, through landscaping, have planted stuff on those lots so that nobody else can park there. And we get that. I want to protect the thing, and I'm all for enforcement. Somebody's blocking your driveway or somebody's doing trash or whatever, But I have to say, when we're there, I see great respect for those beaches and for the community and for the businesses. I don't see, and then I hear the people say how many people this area has grown by. And so their answer is to reduce the parking spots that we have now in terms of the access that are there. We're not asking for more. We're just, if we need to pay for parking, that's fine. I just think to have a compromise that's fair. What I see here is it's just for the residents, and they want to make it private and eliminate people from parking on public streets and using the public beaches. And like I said, fishing from the beaches, it's hard to do if you don't have access to them. So.
Gary Cross?
Thank you. Good morning, Commissioners. Are we still morning? Perfect. I'd like to begin with the Chamber's position on the parking ordinance submitted to Commissioner Ruan and the Boca Grande Parking Panel back in 2023. We have also read our stance on the record multiple times right here in this room. The position is, while we recognize there is no perfect solution to the challenges facing our community, the Boca Grande Chamber of Commerce strongly believes that eliminating any parking spaces near the downtown area would significantly negative impact on local business. Each and every parking space within walking distance of our merchants, restaurants, and community spaces are critically valuable. These spaces are not just convenient, they are vital to the economic sustainability of our downtown district. Boca Grande Area Chamber of Commerce was concerned about the impact of removing parking spaces within walking distance. We heard some conversations that this would have no impact. We were surprised to learn that no study and data at the time had been conducted to support those conversations. In response, we took time ourselves to conduct a survey. These were eye-opening results and demonstrate the critical impact this will have on our business community. These results are contrary to the economic impact study which accompanied today's agenda, which indicated zero business impact. More than 2,300 people responded and over 1,400 took the time to leave a comment. This was overwhelming participation, sent a clear message. Our community is deeply invested in the success of Boca Grande. Let me share a few key findings. We found that 87% of the people who do visit Boca Grande shop in the businesses downtown. 92% of them support the local restaurants. A majority reported visiting the island at least 10 to 20 times a year. Even with a conservative estimate, the economic impact is substantial. If just 2,000 responders each time they visit 10 times a year spend a modest $40 a visit, that equates to $800,000 in annual local revenue that directly supports our small businesses and their families. This potential loss of that economic activity should concern us all. We also gathered information on where visitors were coming from. The majority are traveling from South Gulf Cove, Rotunda, Cape Hayes, and Placida. While growth continues in areas like Welland Park and Northport, those residents often head north on US 41 to reach Venice Beaches, not Boca Grande. The broader implication goes beyond parking. Eliminating beach access not only impacts our economy today, it jeopardizes the future. We risk losing millions of dollars in state and federal beach renourishment funding if this ordinance moves forward. The damage would be irreversible. Each commissioner has gotten this survey emailed to them as well as I've given the packet to you guys. Thank you so much.
Mrs. Nichols?
Good morning. I'm Misty Nichols, Executive Director of the GICIA, and I'm here in support of the ordinance. There's been considerable negative media surrounding this ordinance. As someone born and raised on the island and dedicated nearly 30 years of my professional life to working to preserve what makes Boca Grande special, it's disheartening that our community has become the target of mean-spirited comments simply because we support a parking plan that'll help preserve the charm that everybody in this room loves about Boca Grande. The quaint atmosphere enjoyed today has not happened by accident. It's come from 60-plus years of thoughtful, preemptive preservation efforts. Beginning in the 60s, a group of residents recognized that the island's appeal
would lead to its decline without adequate conservation measures. They formed the GICIA, and their proactive efforts successfully secured the passage of the act. This state law restricted building height and reduced the island's build-out density from 7,000 units to less than 2,500. Without it, Boca Grande would look much different. High-rise development would overshadow the beaches, and the small-town charm we all enjoy would not exist. Some argue that the parking chaos we experienced after Helene and Milton was a result of the unique set of circumstances. But even the parking ordinance adopted in 2019 stated that the attraction of the Gasparilla serene environment, beautiful beaches, has resulted in an inordinate influx of tourists, visitors, and daytime sightseers. Since then, visitor pressure has increased, and it shows no sign of slowing. Yes, for years it has been sustainable for visitors to park on quiet sandy streets, grassy medians, or walk right-of-ways and walk a short distance to the beach. But we have to acknowledge that times have changed, and Boca Grande is not the sleepy little village of years past. While this ordinance isn't perfect, it is a step towards establishing parameters that will continue to protect the quiet nature of our island. It does not deny access to public beaches. It directs visitors away from sensitive areas with limited infrastructure to beautiful, safe state park beaches equipped with parking areas and restrooms. Boca Grande is no longer a secret. It's a tourist destination. And without a plan to adequately address the increasing pressure, we are at risk of losing many of the island's charming characteristics, again, that everybody in this room loves. Thank you. Please support the ordinance.
Thank you. Melanie Gannon.
Hello, my name is Captain Melanie Gannon. I'm a fishing guide based out of Boca Grande, as well as a retail employee on the island. I understand there are times during our busy season that parking can become challenging and disorganized in certain areas on the island. The major complaints fueling this ordinance that have been expressed to me, primarily by beachfront residents, are the following. Trash is being left behind on the street accesses to the beach, and parking spaces along these accesses are obscure, which has led to arguments among residents and visitors. These issues should not be tolerated or ignored. However, I believe they are overcomplicating what should be fairly elementary solutions. We can provide more trash receptacles at the beach street accesses and the street corner intersections on Park Ave. We can also provide clear and marked parking. One beachfront resident expressed to me this was not the answer because they did not want their street paved so that lines could be painted. A couple ways we can easily avoid that would be simply by installing parking curbs to outline spaces or more clear signage. I believe there are unintended consequences that have not been considered, and we will all be impacted by if the current proposed ordinance goes into effect. Restricting parking along the roads bordering our retail storefronts and restaurants will dissuade visitors and heavily reduce foot traffic for local businesses. Brick and mortar shops and restaurants are not the only businesses that will suffer. With the current zoning proposed, anyone not holding a parking permit will be limited to 2-hour parking adjacent to the docks utilized by many charter captains. Almost every charter is a minimum of 4 hours, whether it's shelling, fishing, or a cruise to Cabbage Key. Not all clients hiring a charter captain are guests staying on the island, and I can tell you from personal experience that they almost always visit local shops and restaurants before or after their day on the water. Therefore, limiting parking for these respectful patrons will hurt not only captains, but our fixed businesses on the island as well. Boca Grande's tourism revenue is estimated to generate over $50 million annually from fishing charters alone. Having grown up in Sarasota, I've developed lifelong friendships, business relationships, and my overall love for this island as a visitor. I believe in preserving that right for others to openly enjoy and respectfully as I have.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jesse Lecklader? Lerk? Sorry if I said it wrong.
You're good.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Jessie LeClaire, and I was raised in the area
and I've worked at the Temptation Bar and Restaurant for 7 years. I'm here today to voice serious concerns over the proposed parking limitations on Boca Grande Island. Let me be clear. This change threatens to disrupt local life as we know it. While it might seem like a minor adjustment on paper, the reality is that year-round residents, the people who live, work, and sustain this island, will bear the brunt of this decision. Workers who maintain our homes, serve our restaurants, care for our community, they'll be forced to navigate an even more difficult daily routine, all for the convenience of a few. When parking becomes a privilege, we're sending a message that only those with money and power have the right to be here, that their seasonal comfort matters more than our livelihoods. This isn't about parking, it's about principle. When we say this is an abuse of power, we're not exaggerating. The real abuse is allowing wealth to dictate the rules, to reshape our island without the consent of those who call it home. Businesses will pay the price too. If workers can't park, they can't work. If customers can't park, they won't shop or dine. You're undercutting the very economy that allows this island to thrive. Not for 3 months of the year, but all 12. We're talking about 3 busy months of tourism versus year-round local population that keeps this island running. We're the ones who stay when the crowds leave. We're the backbone of this community, and yet it feels like we're the ones being pushed out. This proposal may serve a few, but it hurts many. And I urge you to think hard about who you're truly representing when you cast your votes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dawn Rottenhoover. Dawn Rottenhoover. Sorry if I
Good
said
try,
that.
good try.
Okay.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Dawn Rodenheffer. I have been a full-time resident of Cape Hayes Peninsula for the past 13 years. I work in the tourism industry, and I have enjoyed the island both professionally and personally over those years. My concerns are, first of all, state parks. The state park rangers are overwhelmed, I think, with the issues. They are not allowed to ticket, they're not allowed to enforce, and limiting the parking on the side streets is going to just further overwhelm these state park employees. Additionally, pushing people to the southern tip of the island, which I think has been discussed earlier as being more dangerous due to the currents, even though there are signs about swimming and not swimming in those waters. I mean, we have had tragic losses due to drownings. So I'm urging you guys to look at different options. I've heard pay to park, that might be a great option. That would help with enforcement. We can pay people to enforce the rules on the beach. And that's it. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Dusty Hopkins. Dusty Hopkins.
Good morning, Commissioners. I'm here to oppose the parking ordinance. Basically, my point would be that I have covered the beach renourishment 4 or 5 times on the island, and every time they come in, and as reported in the paper, they are doing this for a public beach to have public access to it. They're not going to pay any money if public access is denied. So I understand that this has been brought to your attention, and I understand now, but I'm not certain how I understand it, that we may end up, Lee County residents, and I'm one of them, would end up paying for my own beach renourishment, where it's been free to us for the last 35 years. One thing I would, as a downtown businessman, I mean, I own property, I own my house on the island, I own a business building on the island, and I own the business. And so the idea of going to a 4-hour parking restriction is tolerable, but I would suggest you try to do it for the entire island and not just for the downtown district. Try it. I think it'll work. My other comment would be that this whole plan is so extreme, it's like it's an all or nothing approach. You're doing this no matter what we object to, it's going to happen. So I ask for some tolerance there. You know, if there's a way to take a part of this and pass it and see if it works before we just come down with what I call the sledgehammer approach. You're bringing this down on us with a sledgehammer, and it could be a little hammer. Thank you.
Brandon Riker? Brandon Riker?
Greetings, Commissioners. My name is Brandon Riker. I moved to Boca Grande in 1992 when I was 9 years old. I did not come from a wealthy family. My dad worked at Hudson's and we needed a place to stay. So Tom and Gail offered us an apartment out back. It can be difficult growing on an affluent island with no money. Tom gave me my first job bagging ice after school to put some change in my pocket. I still shop at Hudson's daily. A few weeks ago, Hudson's was closed unexpectedly. Miss Emily noticed me walking away. She opened the door and said, "Grab what you need." This is the Boca Grande I know, and is dwindling. I moved off island several years ago, but I feel the island will always be home. I'm sure many would agree. It has been documented that part-time residents have tried to deny beach access for over 50 years. Plantings are placed in the county right-of-way by the same part-time residents who are here today. Commissioners have been turning a blind eye to this entitled behavior. As safety being one of your arguments, how are large plants, boulders, and planters any safer? Trees still block emergency vehicles. Your ordinance states mature vegetation and unstable road shoulders as being unsafe for parking. Your ordinance states it is a requirement for the county to provide safe parking. If these roads were maintained like required, it would be safe to park. You say mature vegetation, I say well-placed, manipulated, overgrown plants to prevent parking. The influx of tourists and visitors is inconsistent with Boca Grande's character, but you also label Boca Grande as a resort town. Which one is it? You want visitors, that is why you're giving hotel guests the same privileges as a resident. Ironically, a good portion of non-residential parking is already commandeered by hotel guests and shuttles. It is the type of visitors you don't want. Shallow pockets. You don't want roofers, landscapers, painters, electricians, house cleaners, the backbone of the island. Clean up my hurricane debris and don't come back. I believe a shop owner complained and said they don't spend money at my shop. Know your demographics. You don't have to spend money to come to Boca Grande. Homeowners need to take responsibility for knowing what they buy when you buy a beachfront home or a home that is on a beach accessible street. These are public roads, and you know parking has been an issue for decades, but you still bought a home next to a beach club and put umbrellas and beach chairs on the beach to keep the peasants at bay. These are supposed to be county-maintained roads paid for by tax dollars. I would like to quote the governor as he signed Senate Bill 1622 on June 24th this year. Senate Bill 1622 protects public beach access and streamlines beach restoration in Gulf Coast communities. I was happy to be in Santa Rosa Beach to sign this into legislation. It is a win for recreation, for tourism, and future generations. No parking, no access. I feel this is setting precedent for beach access. Besides a handful of people, everyone was a visitor at one point. The season was abnormal, late Easter, long spring break. Too many hurricanes to count. And 5 seconds left. Thank you.
Thank you. Sandy Stowell, Youngquist?
Commissioners. Thank you for allowing me to speak. And the last 3 years has been probably the most difficult in my life with Hurricane Ian and all the various hurricanes. And I would venture to guess that your attention has been very much on hurricane recovery as well, all around Lee County. And I think many of the issues that we're dealing with right now have been because of the hurricane recovery and the trucks, et cetera. And so this too shall pass. And I know your priority has not been on landscaping the medians, et cetera. It's been getting rid of all the debris, et cetera. But now it's starting to clean up, and now it's time to take a look. And I applaud, all of Boca Grande residents for taking a look at some solutions. I just think that maybe they're a little too severe. To have a totally well-rounded community means that you have to have a balance between residents and merchants, the shop owners. A 2-hour time restraint is not enough time to eat and then go shopping. And I would hate to see all the shops starting to suffer because they don't have the money to restock. When you're not doing well and you're barely making enough money to pay your rent and you're barely making enough money to your insurance and helping pay for your employees to go over the bridge, whether it be actually paying for their bridge tolls or paying them higher so they can pay for the bridge tolls, it impacts everybody. And I just think that 2 hours is just not enough time. 4 hours would be a compromise. I think that Commissioner Mullica's suggestions are good. I think you've thought them out very well. I know it's not going to make everybody happy here, but I don't think anybody is going to come up with a solution today that's going to make everybody happy. I think what you have to do is look at what's best for all. And I think many of the comments today have been very well spoken. And we just want Boca Grande to be a thriving community. So when the winter residents do come back, the stores are full of items that they actually would purchase and not all worn out old items that you don't want to buy. And thank you for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bo Jemis? Bo?
The third time's a charm on that name, I know. Boo Jeans.
Sorry.
I get it all. I get it all. Hello, Commissioners. How are you? I'm back. I am Boo Jeems, and I am a Lee County resident. We have lived on the island for 42 years. My mom has been at the same residence on 19th Street. I am not only now full-time resident on the island, and I'm also a merchant on the island. I have a retail store right in the Railroad Plaza, not far from Sisters. I am a huge supporter of Boca Grande, obviously, and many of my cohorts here, I support many, many comments. I think what we need to think about is compromise. What's been worked on so long and hard for these 15 years is a compromise. It is not perfect for everybody. A couple things I'd like to highlight is that the charm and character of our island is what we all agree on. Why people come to our beaches, why they come to shop, why they come to our wonderful restaurants is the charm and what has been protected over these many years. I think the overcrowding will start to discourage people from coming. You start to see some infrastructure that is changing slightly. I think that's really important. I read something the other day, and I would like to quote somebody from another county in Florida. It says, "Nobody goes to the beach to go shopping. They go to the beach to go to the beach." So we're trying to figure this out. We're trying to support those of us that have retail stores. We're also trying to protect our beautiful barrier island, and I think we need to consider it all together in this package, and I support the current ordinance as it is. On a quick footnote, I think the parallel parking and limiting it to small compact vehicles and golf carts will not suit the downtown appropriately. I think that would be really tricky. I think there's a way for us to make that work, and especially within the GICIA parking spot. So I'd like to just put that out there. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Courtney McGovern? Courtney?
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Courtney McGovern. I own a home in the historic district of Boca Grande, and I'm a Lee County taxpayer. I'm here to encourage our Lee County Commissioners to vote in favor of the proposed
parking ordinance in Boca Grande. The ordinance not only represents the interests of Lee County residents, but it provides much-needed enforceable parking criteria to address congestion, public safety, environmental protection, and protect the special character of the island. These are the same principles that are already articulated in the existing Lee plan. I can sympathize with those who have shared so much passion today for Boca Grande. As the 5th generation of my family to be on the island, I, like visitors, understand the unique nature of our barrier island, its fragile environment, its old Florida charm, but most of all, its community. My great-grandfather traveled by railroad to reach the island to join his beloved fishing captains, captains whose careers and reputations around guiding for tarpon, like those who have spoken today. These men sat side by side with each other on the guide docks, which are today's Pink Elephant docks, sharing fish stories and even cooking fish chowder on open camp stoves. It was true camaraderie, mutual respect, and friendship. That is the foundation of the Boca Grande community. It disheartens me to hear the us versus them mentality of those who are in disagreement today. It hurts me to hear that there is an assumption that the Boca Grande community wants to privatize the island or to eliminate visitors, none of which is true. When the bridge brought cars, 18th Street and Journey's End was no longer the end of the island. And so fast forward to today, it's a much larger island and a much larger off-island area. The explosive growth has brought overcrowding. Unfortunately, there's been many episodes of disrespect of private property. But collectively, we share the same interest in saving the island. No one is asking to close the island, despite the incendiary and inflammatory rhetoric found on social media and even in George Soros-backed online petitions. Adopting criteria that maintaining open, publicly accessible Gulf Beach access while still providing protection for the longevity of the island is needed now. I encourage you to vote in favor of this ordinance. Thank you.
Susan Slager.
Hi, Susan Slider, resident and merchant on the island. I want to go on the record as being in full support of this proposal.
Thank you. Andrew Fox.
Andrew Fox, I live at 1870 East 18th Street on Boca Grande. In consideration of your time, I vote in favor of this.
Thank you. Bruce Keenan. Bruce Keenan.
My wife and I are residents of Boca Grande. We live in the historic district. It's been very heavily burdened in recent years. The burden is growing, and we very much endorse this bill to include this act.
Thank you. Mary Howell.
I support Unity's plan that they spent years working on, and hope that all of you will support it as well. Thank you.
Sharon McKenzie.
Hello, my name is Sharon McKenzie. I'm the Executive Director for Barrier Island Park Society, also known as BIPS. BIPS has been a 501c3 nonprofit on Gasparilla Island for 36 years. We manage and operate historic Port Boca Grande Lighthouse and Museum, historic Gasparilla Island Lighthouse, and historic Amory Memorial Chapel, and we support 4 state parks, including Gasparilla Island State Park. I'm speaking today to request a revision to the proposed parking ordinance for Gasparilla Island to accommodate volunteers for nonprofit organizations that provide services to Boca Grande. BIPS, as a nonprofit with only 3 full-time employees, relies heavily on critical volunteers to keep our lighthouses and museum, both supported by Lee County grants, open to the public. The eco and heritage tours that come to both lighthouses also affect the economic impact of the local island restaurants and shops, and they bring in much needed revenue
to BIPs to help keep these iconic and historic structures preserved for all of us and for future generations. During the past year, we've had 2,814 climbs. In order to provide this service, we require 4 to 5 volunteers at the range light over the course of 2 shifts per day. The adjacent state parks parking area is limited, and with the proposed beach access closures across the island, this parking area will be severely impacted, which in turn will affect our volunteers' ability to park in the vicinity of the range light. On page 4466, section 28-157G, our request is the term island employee shall also include identified volunteers for nonprofit establishments on Boca Grande. Thank you for your time and allowing me to speak.
Nick Morris. Nick Morris. 15, 12.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Captain Nick Morris, a local resident of Boca Grande and a proud member of the Boca Grande Fishing Guides Association. I'm here to address concerns about the current parking proposal, which, while well-intentioned, has overlooked some crucial issues that affect our community. Specifically, the proposal fails to address the parking needs for the Fish Street public dock, also known locally as the Pink Docks. Years ago, the Guides Association worked hard to secure the agreement with the county to ensure that these docks had public pickup and delivery slips for our clients. Traditionally, clients have parked along Bayou Avenue, a county right-of-way, but the proposed 2-hour parking limit would severely impact us. Fishing trips often run for hours, sometimes all day, and during tarpon season, especially throughout the night. A lot of our clients live in Charlotte County off the island. Without reasonable parking options, our guides and our clients would be left without places to park, disrupting a vital part of the island's economy. I urge you to reconsider this limit. Fishing contributes significantly to Boca Grande's economy, and reasonable parking is crucial for that to continue. Another major issue. Several years ago, the county addressed the Beach Street parking based on recommendations with community parking panel. The new ordinances were created from the House for those recommendations have been successful limited parallel parking, parking rangers for enforcement, and increased trash pickup days. What the community parking panel did not recommend was to take away the public's right to access the beach on these public streets. We have hundreds of thousands of memories collectively, and it's a strong part of our community. The residents purchased their properties on these streets knowing that they were traditionally used for public beach access. Those streets have been orderly and without major issues since the new parking ordinances and enforcement were put in place. We respectfully ask you to maintain our rights to use the public beach access on those streets to access the beach that has been tradition on this island for over 100 years. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mark Berbergen. Mark? Sure.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to comment.
Sorry.
My name is Mark Spurgeon. I'm a 58-year resident of Boca Grande. Actually moved to Lee County in 1958. I own commercial property. I have a residence, and I also operate a business. I look back from a historical perspective. When I was a kid, you could jump off the seawall at First Street and land in the water. My children could jump off of First Street when they were of age, and there was water. Now that we have sand, I don't know how roads that used to have water at the end of them became public parks. That's another subject, but I think that needs exploration, and I think resiliency in the future is probably something the community will need to get to, or we won't have a beach or a community. So that's my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Nikki Hyman.
My name is Nikki Hyman. I'm the third-generation shopkeeper of the Pink Pony, a business my family has owned and operated in Boca Grande since 1988. I also manage commercial and residential property, including our still damaged home. I've lived on the island my entire life, from preschool to working and volunteering for several island businesses and organizations, and guiding eco-tours locally as a Florida master naturalist. I speak to you today not just as a business owner, but as someone who lives and breathes this island every single day. I deeply love and respect our very unique community, and I care tremendously for our environment. I sympathize with those who feel this ordinance is necessary. They are our customers, neighbors, and friends whose generosity has helped our island through very hard times. However, the push to preserve Boca Grande with these parking mandates feels more like a punishment to the very people who care for and frequent this island year-round, especially those who've been priced out of their home island and now live in our neighboring county. Long-standing family traditions could be lost due to inaccessibility. I've seen our community pull together after red tide, hurricanes, and COVID, yet this ordinance is dividing us. Some businesses have been pressured into silence. I have personally been threatened with boycotts for not getting with the program. It's not preservation, that's control. We're told this ordinance will have no economic impact. I can tell you firsthand that is not true. A huge percentage of our customers are day trippers, families who may not shop in expensive boutiques, but they do eat at our restaurants, get ice cream for their kids, and keep small businesses afloat in the off-season. There is a clear public consensus that this ordinance will push out those families, decrease foot traffic, and strip the soul of Boca Grande. Local access is part of our heritage, and when you eliminate it, you cut off the next generation of stewards, workers, and small business owners. Yes, we have seasonal crowding. Yes, some beach behavior needs addressing, but there are incremental steps that we can make, like steep fines for blocking driveways and increased enforcement during our peak months instead of passing such a sweeping ordinance. Commissioners, I respectfully ask you to start small and adjust, not overcorrect and alienate the very community that keeps this island running. I want to thank Commissioners Malika, Pendergrass, and Hammond for coming to Boca and hearing some of our voices. I urge you today to hear the rest of us. Because if you vote for this ordinance as written, it will not preserve Boca Grande, it will erase the people who built it. Thank you.
Betsy Joyner.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I'm Betsy Fugate Joyner, third generation Boca Grande native and fifth generation Floridian. I have lived, breathed, and worked on this island my whole life. My grandfather was one of the founding fathers in the early 1900s. And I was raised, my mother was a teacher to the Lee County system and taught in Boca Grande. I was raised to be welcoming and in the people business. And I've worked in many businesses on the island. I'm involved in all of our community organizations, our historical society, our maritime museum, the GICIA, the Women's Club, all of our functions, I feel, are my community. I am torn by this whole situation. I do not agree with the parking proposal. I know there's major problems, and I feel for the beach owners for the problems. But I do believe that we can rewrite this. I know it's been over and over. I've been involved with it personally since the 80s. I've seen what's happened. I did actually have to move off island in 2021 because between the taxes and the property, and I became semi-retired, I couldn't afford to live there anymore. I lived in my home for 30 years and it was family property. It broke my heart to sell it, but it was necessary. But it's still home. I moved to Placida. I told everyone, well, I just crossed the bridge, but I'm still home. I am in Boca Grande at least 5 days a week because I love it, because I want to be part of our community. I'm very, very upset that this has taken place.
I feel like it can be brought into a softer texture. I live in a community where almost every neighbor, every person I see every day says, we just don't feel like we're wanted in Boca Grande anymore. And we go there. They shop at our business. They eat at our restaurants. When people come to town, I'm like, let's go have lunch in Boca Grande and I'll show you around. We park. We might be in town for 4 hours and we might move and head to the south end. We go to the beach. I have sons and grandsons who are commercial fishermen and tarpon fishermen, and I really respect what's been said about that. That's one of our issues. Where are our customers going to park? Where are the people going to park? People, when they come from all over the United States, all over the world actually, they come to enjoy our community, and our community has always been welcoming to them. And I feel like we're putting out a negative message, and I don't like that. And I've told many, many people that have said, I'm just not going to come anymore. And I'm like, please do not stop coming.
I'm sorry, your time's up.
We need you. Thank you.
Robin Wilkins, thank you.
Hi, I'm Robin Wilkins. I live actually 5 miles up Gasparilla Road at South Gulf Cove. I moved here after traveling on my boat from Maine to the southern Exumas. Fell in love with beaches and the water. I live and breathe it. So when we looked to shop for a house, I shopped from Naples up to Sarasota, and we came back to the Englewood area, Placida, Capes area. I'm 5 miles from the causeway, and that was a major contributing factor in my home selection. We've talked a lot about, yeah, they are public roads, and it does give us public access. So I'm not sure how you guys are getting around that one, but public roads equals public access. We talk about trash. Have there been a lot of citations given? Where did this really begin? Obviously 15 years ago. But trash, I went there yesterday. I walked 2 miles. My only trash I saw was an orange peel and maybe a barnacle-covered coconut. That's it for trash. I don't see a lot of trash, and I walk the beach. So I'm not sure, maybe the trash is more at the state parks, and maybe that's a problem. If it is a problem, then yes, that needs to be policed, and there seems to be a lack of that going on with parking in front of people's driveways. That's just idiotic and a darn shame, and that shouldn't happen. And that's what needs to be corrected, correct the behavior. Fine people, I don't care, I don't park in front of people's driveways. I'm used to parallel parking. I grew up in this city on a public street, and if we had events at the stadiums, I knew my parking was going to be taken, but I bought that house there and I knew it. I knew it was a public street, and on the Ravens game day, I just wouldn't have a parking spot. Park there later. I was there yesterday. I took a lot of pictures. There's a lot of landscaping encroaching into the streets, and I've been given 2 different numbers. There's about 500 less parking spots due to landscaping. Actually, someone even told me there was about 700 less parking spots due to landscaping. It was really cute seeing the landscaping and then a private parking sign right there. I thought, wow, that's pretty nice to just take over public access. The streets were empty. I have 35 pictures. It's off season. The parking, something needs to be done, sure, but that's not the answer. That is saying you are not welcome. And do we contribute fiscally? Yes, we do. If you go to lunch or dinner on Boca Grande, you're going to spend anywhere from $100 to $500 to go to dinner. So yes, we are contributing to the Boca Grande revenue. There's a significant reduction in parking. I have 17 seconds. The Department of the Environment and Protection is going to have to recalculate the public access in order to determine what funds you will get for beach replenishment. Also, the Army Corps of Engineers will also recalculate their financial support due to the decreased amount of parking. Taxpayers.
Excuse me, your time's up. Sorry.
Well, thank you very much. I think you need to reconsider what you've built. Go back to the drawing board. Thank you.
Thank you.
Casey Chesky?
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Casey Chesky. I'm a sixth generation born and raised on Boca Grande. I'm here today to present a petition that was already provided to you that has over 13,500 signatures from residents, visitors, and supporters, all asking you to preserve public access to our beaches and reject any ordinance that would restrict or eliminate parking at beach access points or downtown Boca Grande. Boca Grande began as a small, hardworking fishing village, and while it has evolved, its heart and soul have always been rooted in community, charm, and inclusivity. What's heartbreaking is watching that legacy slip away, not because of time or progress, but because of intentional efforts to privatize what was never meant to be that way. We're now seeing proposal to limit beach access, not out of environmental necessity, but out of convenience for the select few. Let's be honest, many of the same voices pushing to preserve Boca Grande today are the ones who have already transformed it from what it was. What right does anyone have to decide that only those with club memberships or driveways deserve access to Boca Grande beaches? This is not a private island. This is a public, historic, coastal community, and it should remain one. The petition you have before you reflects the concerns of people who love and respect this island. We understand the need for safety and sustainability, but closing public parking is not the answer. Instead, we urge you to consider responsible alternatives, clearly posted and enforced rules, enforcement of existing litter and noise ordinance, and community outreach and stewardship programs. We don't oppose the order, we oppose exclusion. Frankly, this ordinance wouldn't even directly impact me. I would qualify for a permit, but this is not about me. It is about the guides, the teachers, the wait staff, the legacy families, the working class locals, and the respectful visitors who keep the island running year-round. Excluding them doesn't preserve charm, it destroys it. I've seen Boca Grande change throughout my life. Working families and legacy families pushed out, leading to a more exclusive, less connected spirit of Boca Grande. We're not fighting politics here, we are fighting for a principle. Public access belongs to the public. Please do not let Boca Grande become a gated memory. Help us preserve what is left. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bart DiStefano? And Hank Henry after Bart.
Hello, Commissioners. Good morning. Today you'll make clear where you stand and with whom you stand.
What's your name for the record? I'm sorry.
Hank Henry, Port Charlotte.
I called Bart. Okay, go ahead.
I'm sorry about that.
That's okay.
Ninth generation U.S. resident. Over 13,000 people signed their names imploring you to abandon this proposal and instead pursue a fair, balanced solution. I'll focus today on the public beach access and the funds that are connected to that. Federal officials advised us last week that this proposal will forfeit the millions that are scheduled for replenishment FY25 and through the end of the contract, which expires in 2056. That's 31 years. I think you're aware of this. You've been discussing it internally, and you're looking at plans on how to cover this massive financial hole out of the pockets of taxpayers that this plan hurts the most. $10 million lost, not because of necessity, not because of law, but because of a few wealthy part-time residents seek to erase the public from public beaches on which they bought part-time vacation mansions, all without you ever exploring the option to actually enforce existing ordinances. Under weight of all this, the truth is clear. This does not protect Boca Grande, it harms it. Rejecting tens of millions in beach funding does not safeguard Boca Grande, it sabotages it. This charade will be aided and abetted by anyone who votes yes today. Commissioner Malika's proposed amendment to restore access to the public beach access streets goes towards helping not forfeit the millions of dollars this year and the tens of millions of dollars over the next 31 years that the federal government is paying to restore and take care of that beach. I speak today not just as a citizen, but as a 20-year military veteran. 7 years deployed across Asia, the Middle East, and Ukraine. While many here built your careers and companies,
enjoyed exotic cars and boats. We wore body armor and chem gears. We fought horrific, mind-numbing evil so that you and your families could sleep soundly beneath the freedoms we fought for. I'm stunned that anyone would think of passing a proposal that would prevent me and people like me and other citizens from accessing the beach. We risk our lives for minimum wage while many built portfolios, perfected the golf swing, and prospered under the freedom for which we paid dearly. We didn't serve for privilege. We serve for principle. We serve for the freedoms and equality this proposal mocks. Before you thank us for our service, please don't. With what is happening here, that would be patronizing. Don't thank us with easy words and limp handshakes. Thank us with a vote that honors the very idea of shared public good. Thank us by rejecting deception and choosing integrity. Thank us by standing for all the people you were elected to serve, not just those who dismiss us as a nuisance, unworthy of equally sharing Boca Grande. The choice is yours. The consequences will be ours. Do the right thing. Vote no.
Bart? I'm Bart DiStefano. I'm a co-owner of South Beach Bar and Grill. We employ 53 people during the busy season and 45 people in the off-season. We are the busiest restaurant on the island, and I believe we deserve to have that business because we serve the best food. You know, I feel that this is an existential threat to us. This bill, if it passes, which obviously it's going to pass, I don't see how we survive. It pushes everybody down to the southern part of the island. South Beach is where we are, and I can't see how our customers are going to get to us because you're making everybody that wants to go everywhere else come down to the south. And I feel that, you know, this could put us out of business. My people have been working for me for, some of them longer than I've been there. I've been there 18 years. Some of my people have been there 30 years. And they're not going to have the jobs, and they're certainly not going to have the jobs where they make the money that they're making at this point. I'm getting old, so I probably won't be there much longer anyway. But I do have a partner who's a lot younger than me, and I did sign the petition that I didn't know George Soros was behind the petition for Boca Grande. I didn't think he got that involved here. I said, I thought it was Hillary Clinton, but you know, I'm a MAGA Republican. I can't believe I signed it either. But when something's right, it's right. And do you want a solution? Give us more parking. Don't take away what there is. Give us back the illegal parking spaces that have been covered, number one. And number two, make some more parking. You want to know where to make it? Make it down in our area. You know, more than happy to have people come down there. But just, you know, you couldn't move last year because the game they were playing with the parking lot down at the end at the lighthouse. So there's a traffic jam. But it wasn't, it was because no parking spaces were open. Some kind of game was being played. You can make parking right along from the edge of my property all the way up to the lighthouse. There's room, you can make a lot of parking spaces there. Those people aren't gonna bother anybody in town that want to have their fences and gates up.
Thanks for your comments. Your time's up. Your time's up.
Okay, my time's up. I guess that's very prophetic.
Edith Gardner? No? Sarah Breck?
No, Edie Gardner's here.
Okay. I didn't-
She's right here.
Okay.
What? Just stand up and say.
I'm Edith Gardner. I've lived in Boca Grande about 40 years.
just had her
Thank
100th
you.
birthday on Boca Grande in April, so.
Thank you. Thank you. Sandra Breck?
I live on Boca Grande County, and I'm 41.
And my last card is you, Sullivan.
Hi, I'm Hugh Sullivan. I live in the Lee County portion of Boca Grande. I want to start by just addressing some of the proposed additions to the ordinance. Just quickly, I think you've heard from some, angled parking downtown is difficult with the larger vehicles there now. But it's important to support the stores for now, to leave it there until we have some other kind of solution that will accommodate the traffic. People are well accustomed to dealing with it. They did try on 4th Street years ago, taking it away, and they quickly put it back in because of the result. So it's something to be considered, but we need to make sure that the businesses are taken care of before making that kind of move. The 2-hour parking versus 4-hour parking, I plead that you stay with the 2-hour. I point out that almost half, and perhaps more than half, of the parking spaces downtown, 104 parking spaces and 40 golf cart spaces, are owned by the GICIA. There are additional spaces that are controlled and owned by Buzzy Stevenson, the old depot building. Those private owners are in full support of the businesses downtown. GICIA has said that they are not going to put a time limit on their parking right now. They'll watch and see what happens, and they'll manage things to keep it open for the businesses that are there. So I don't think going to 4-hour and undermining the faster turnover in the other areas that benefits the businesses normally when that's put in place would be a good idea. The pickup drop-off docks, parking for that, frankly, that was an oversight on the part of the people putting things together and contributing ideas from the community. We really would ask that at some point today, if you could, that the east side of Bayou Avenue between 4th and 5th Street, the east side of Bayou between 4th and 5th be general parking. That is what it is today. That will leave things unchanged for those docks. The island loves the fishing captains. The fishing is a part of the heritage of the island, and the last thing we want to do is something that would upset their business. With that in mind, let me just say what I had planned to say, which is you've heard a lot, so I'm just going to repeat a core message that we delivered here over a year ago. We need your help. We need your help to preserve Boca Grande in a manner that the Lee Plan says you will do in its objectives. We need it because it's what's best for Boca Grande, and we also need it because it's what's best for all the taxpayers all over Lee County. Most of all,
your time's up.
I didn't get my punchline.
I've gone through all the cards. Is there anyone that didn't fill out a card, or did I miss? They raise their hand, and I'll gladly take them. Come on up, sir.
You booked Jessica Taylor's card earlier.
I'm sorry?
You booked Jessica Taylor's card earlier when it was not that subject.
Oh, talking about the house, the code enforcement thing? Yeah, we're going to take that up at the end of the meeting. Yeah, we have to vote on this issue first. Yeah, yeah. I'm interested to hear about that one.
Sure. Any other people raise their hand? Come on up.
Hi, how you doing? I'm the co-owner of South Beach Bar and Grill.
Okay.
And I do agree with a lot of what
The upper there.
I'm sorry, I thought I heard something.
Commissioner Pendergrass.
Oh, sorry about that.
No, go ahead. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, basically I support what the Chamber's position is on this, and I support Dusky Hoppins, and I didn't really have anything prepared today, but this was very eye-opening. And I feel that they're public beaches, and they've always been public beaches, and I think we're creating mechanisms by closing those public beaches. And
I think tourism is promoted by welcoming people, and this doesn't set a sign that we're welcome to our island. I know it's redundant, I know we heard it from other people, other merchants, but like Nikki said, you know, these merchants were threatened and their livelihoods are threatened. I witnessed this firsthand. I worked the parking lot down at South Beach Bar and Grill, and with the beaches being closed in Englewood and the beaches being closed on 1st through 19th Street created a huge bottleneck. So I think the people that signed that letter in Boca Bay and those people that signed the letter on Belcher Street are being very naive to think that taking one problem and moving it to another area of the island is not going to be a problem. What my business partner stated earlier, I think he was talking about if we don't have to spend additional money to pay the federal government back the $4 million that we'll have to pay them, or the county will have to pay them to pay for the beach renourishment. You can use that money to easily pay for additional parking down the south end, which he equated to earlier, that basically near the lighthouse down by the south end, there's a lot of areas that you can put additional parking. I know I'm bouncing around because I didn't have anything prepared and I have a lot on my mind, but the downtown area is definitely going to suffer. There's no way, there's no economic loss. Down at South Beach, I witnessed the economic loss. We feel like we're down 20% because that area was a bottleneck and there was nowhere to park, and it creates a line that was a quarter of a mile long all the way to the other parking lot. And people go in and out of those parking spaces and can't find parking, and they create a traffic jam. So the economic burden that we faced without having enough parking was substantial. And I think that parking that's going to be eliminated downtown is a mechanism that's created. We keep saying 2 hours or 4 hours, but that's a reason because there's no parking elsewhere. And you're worried about them stealing the parking downtown. That's basically it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good afternoon. For the record, Neil Montgomery. I'm here in support of the ordinance. As you know, from when I was here the last time, there was over 1,000 people on the island who are both residents and businesses who support the ordinance. I'm well aware that MoveOn.org, a George Soros-backed organization, has an online petition with, you know, thousands of signatures, but I don't know that we know that those folks are on the island and invested in the situation. I did hear, I think, 3 or 4 fishing guides who talked about Bayou Avenue, so I think that was an oversight, and I believe that Michael Jacob could offer you language that would allow the parking on Bayou between 4th and 5th to allow for the fishing captain that would remediate that situation. But with that change and with the hard work of the community, I would urge you to adopt the ordinance with that one adjustment. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Yes, sir.
Please come on up. State your name for the record, please.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeff Lendroth, and I'm here to oppose this ordinance. This parking ordinance is interesting. I don't know, quite frankly, what this will do to Florida in general. Florida has a phenomenal natural resources with these beaches. What you're proposing here is to limit beach access. Now, if every barrier island in Florida started an ordinance like this, we would lose significant tourist dollars, significant taxes. The residents of Boca Grande knew before they purchased this property that there were beach access points on these public roads. We've seen over the last couple of years a big push, so to speak, in Boca Grande to not enforce reconstruction of some of the areas, and some of these areas that were public parking have been illegally landscaped. So I believe there's something in the neighborhood of 400 to 450 spaces that no longer exist. So what I'm suggesting is that the commissioners here think long and hard before they pass this ordinance. It's long-standing known that this is customary access, ancient access. Florida residents, Florida tourists have had access
to Boca Grande beaches for decades and decades. So this sets a precedent. It sets a precedent that may be essentially litigated at the state level, the governor's office, perhaps. I think you should think very carefully. There's been a lot of testimony this morning about this activity here, and I'd please ask you to reconsider for the good of Florida. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. I'll bring it up to the dais. Commissioners?
Well, Mr. Chairman, if we may, I am interested in talking about and hearing from our staff, since there seems to be wide agreement from everybody about the docks there and the parking around that on Bayou. So I would love to hear from our county attorney about crafting an amendment that we could make to accommodate that for sure.
Mr. Chairman?
Sorry?
Yes.
Yes, please, sorry.
That's fine. I would propose that we go ahead and modify the ordinance to permit east side parking along East Side Bayou, provide that general parking between 4th and 5th. So it's not the entire road, just between 4th and 5th. And I would put that into probably the exception section under 28-161.
Can I ask a question about that, Commissioner?
The map would change too. That blue would be a different color.
So with that being said, in supporting the fishing industry and the oversight comment here, I have a couple follow-ups just to make sure I clarify. The little blue stripe that says to the left of Gasparilla Inn Golf Course, I think was marked originally on the south side of the inlet property, where a lot of people park on the street to where there are charter captains that fish the inlet and have slips there to charter. And I would like to see that area and the kayak launch street included in those areas, because the blue ways, the fishing and the charter, I think, again, I think that was just if that's a cleanup, I would like to see those other two areas.
You're suggesting adding those two areas as general parking?
This east side of 11th Street, just right away side next to the inlet where that blue, I already made a blue mark there on purpose in the middle of yellow. And I'm just trying to clarify that I think the intent of that was this general fishing category.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of charter boats that live and pick up guests out of the inlet, the North Hotel, right? And then the kayak launch area, I think that's already cross-hatched, so that may already be identified on the 19th side. But for the subject of waterfront activities, if that is the intent of the cleanup, I just want to clarify those two areas if there's no objection.
Mr. Chairman, procedurally, just to keep track of the discussion, you currently have a motion on the floor to accept as written that has been seconded. You now have two proposed amendments. In order to track those for procedural purposes, we would need the chair or the motion maker to accept one or both of those proposed amendments, and then the second to accept one or both of those proposed amendments, so we know exactly what's on the floor for board discussion.
I'll modify my motion to include both.
Both?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
I'll modify my second.
Thank you.
Okay. There was one other request to amend the definition of employee by the BIPS organization. Is any interest in it? That was the request to change it for volunteers, for nonprofits that are established on Boca Grande.
I'll amend my motion to include that.
Yeah, I will. I'll amend my second too. Yeah, because in essence, the volunteers for those nonprofit organizations they're basically unpaid employees. I mean, they keep those organizations going. Makes sense.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
All right. That's what I had, and Commissioner Mullica had his from the beginning.
Commissioner Pendergrass.
I have one something. With the board being entertaining the discussion, we heard a lot about the 2-hour and 4-hour parking today. If it was going to be detrimental to the downtown business, either 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 parking, would the motion maker would like to entertain the motion to change it from 2 hours to 3 or 4 hours to help the business owners, so we don't have that constant flipping of traffic. We see results of
perfect example is downtown Fort Myers. You see it every day. You see an example. We see it in our lives every day, how it affects the businesses downtown. As you walk downtown, you'll see new vacant spots every month because of the lack of parking. And I don't think that anybody's intention here is to push business away from Boca Grande. We want to help business. We want to help businesses grow in the area. So if we could do something to change that to 3 or 4 hours to help the business, so there is time for people to go have lunch and go stop, get some ice cream and go get some gifts. They're not using it for beach park, and they're going to be going there for you, like we do personally, to go downtown and get some ice cream or lunch and then shop and then leave. So it's 2 hours is way short for that.
I'll gladly modify my motion to have it to go to 3 hours.
3 hours?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll amend my second then, yeah.
It's a move in the right direction. I like the 4 hour, as I mentioned, but I do appreciate the great dialogue and the middle ground. That's what we've been searching for from the beginning. I don't go to Boca Grande to feel rushed when I go to visit there. Nobody, you don't drive. I mean, I have to drive an hour and a half, 2 hours to get there, so I don't want to feel like I'm looking at my watch to see if I got to move my car in 10 minutes. It's not the feeling I want to have when I'm walking down the sidewalk there. So I'd love to see 4 as an upgrade, but I can support 3 as a middle ground, and we can always tweak it later.
Okay.
That's what happens.
Any other amendments that anyone would like to do? Any other comments?
I had a couple of questions to the county manager. Okay, Dave, we had a lot of comments today about funding for the beach renourishment. In the future, how are we going to be able to measure that? Will you come back to us later if this is passed today, tell us how that negatively affects the funding loss from the state and federal side for beach renourishment? Would that be something we could be briefed on throughout the year?
Yeah, Mr. Chair?
Sure, absolutely.
Yes. There is a formula. The formula would change based on this, but it doesn't mean we're not going to get state or federal dollars. It just means that formula would change. We have other avenues of how to pay for that, which are around the county, which is an MSBU. So there are other alternatives other than just taking it from the general fund, and we could bring that back at a later date.
So would that money come from, you said, the other parts of the county, so you're saying other MSTUs, or which other funding sources were you looking at? Because when I talked to you yesterday, we said it would come from that. We could possibly do an MSTU for that Boca Grande, and Boca Grande, in general, the Lee County portion of Boca Grande would be paying for that renourishment.
Yes.
So that's something the residents would have to approve, or something we just could mandate back on the island for the fee collection to renourish the beaches based upon the funding loss?
It's at the board's discretion. You could ask them to do a voluntary MSBU like other entities do around the county, or you can implement one. The board has that discretion to do either.
Okay, just wondering where that
specific
funding would come from and
grant.
how that process would go. That was something from board direction, then the future boards could do that. They could say, this is where the funds are going to come back from, MSTU from this area. In fact, kind of like Captiva did 2 years ago, and they have the Captiva erosion prevention. Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Okay, so I'll start with the easy safety traffic ones that I mentioned earlier. Can I circle back on those if you don't mind? So with the angle parking downtown, I might ask Rob Price's feedback on this. If you don't mind, can I ask your opinion for parking space length and measure of safety access? From the homework that I've done, a compact car parking space is generally 16 to 18 feet long, which is what I didn't say just golf carts like in front of the temp. When I went out there to visit the community center with you for the grand opening, I pulled my truck into that space, realized if I wanted to get my tailgate out of traffic, I had to pull across the sidewalk and be next to the building, right? And then I realized that I wasn't going to fit on either end and I was going to block somebody out, so I moved down to the GICIA area by the railway. Is there a way to, how do you measure, evaluate those kind of safety impacts by angled parking spaces to where you say compact vehicles only, or how do you get that designation like that?
It's usually done on a case-by-case basis, Commissioner. We look at the area that is provided, how deep it is. There are standards in the Land Development Code that we rely on, as well as in state statute, state standards for how big a parking space should be. So those are the things that we look at, and generally it's just a visual inspection of whether or not the spaces are sufficient.
So if the space is 15 feet long in front of the temp, as an example, because I keep picking on them because I like their food so much, a 21-foot long crew cab truck like mine, is going to come across a 3-foot sidewalk and 3 feet into traffic.
Yeah, a 15-foot space, we would definitely want to restrict to compact cars. So those are the types of standards we would look at, and how much land we have. That's why you go angle parking in some of these situations, because you don't have enough for a pull-in space, or you could go parallel or angle. Angle will provide more.
Yeah, I just don't want to have to go into oncoming traffic with Hunter in a baby stroller because a truck was parked on the way while we were on the way to lunch.
Right.
So I think that's a safety issue, which is the intent of the ordinance, to reduce hazardous traffic conditions for pedestrians and vehicles. So are you open to a discussion or an amendment on that?
Mr. Chair, if I may, I don't know enough about that one to make a fully informed amendment right now. I would love to. I think we actually have come up with some really good amendments today, and I think we're close on something here. And I understand exactly what you're saying, and I'm trying to look at it on a map and visualize it as well. But
we have the right to. I guess we have the right to do safety reviews of areas and.
I think so too, right? I think
maybe it doesn't need to be part of this formality.
That's what I was thinking as well. Yeah.
So I'll step outside on that, and we'll just let staff come back with us.
If I could, Commissioner Wilk, a great reason to bring this up. I mean, we all know if you're driving an F-250 dually with trailer hitches in the back and hooks in the front, you probably should take that small spot. Unfortunately, some people do, but the problem is this, and we're going to have issues with this whole ordinance in the future, so I don't want to have any false hopes, but enforcement. For example, I know being a 25-year law enforcement officer, starting the parking program in 1984 down in Mars as serving parking systems, I can tell you right now, times hasn't changed. When you look at a rental car company, they think of Corollas or Camry as a full-size luxury car, when it's not. We all know it's not. To me, a compact car would be a Mini Cooper or a little Fiat. The problem is enforcement. To ask the law enforcement officer to make discretionary decision at the time if this Camry or this, Pontiac is which one's a compact, which one's not, is going to be the problem for them to use their discretion. Because there's no actual description in the ordinance which vehicles are considered compact or not. So, love to have this included because obviously people should use common sense when they park, but the reality is for them to enforce that, to actually write a ticket to put on a car that parked in the wrong spot or tow the vehicle, they're not going to have the authority to do that because it's not described in the ordinance. You have to identify each car, what would be considered compact, not a compact, before it went before a magistrate or a judge across the street in the 20th Judicial Circuit Court, not the Lee County Traffic Court. We don't have Lee County Traffic Court, but it's a state of the ordinance. But you would have to have a description for that deputy to write that citation to fine to be with. So if somebody goes in and contests that fine, the judge is going to ask that question: what's the difference between a Lexus or a difference between a Honda Accord? Which one's, we know which one's smaller, but which one's described as the compact car? And that's where the discretion would come in. That's when you literally, if you get that detailed in this, it's great intentions, but it's going to be hard for it's to enforce that.
I wish there was a baller that had center of each parking space so you knew where you had to stop.
Yeah, I mean,
and then if you're blocking traffic, then you're a problem.
Any parking spots now, truck parking, you can't get out of your car, and I get it. I totally get it. It's just.
I think the complexities you hit on, Commissioner Hammond, and I appreciate your comment, Commissioner Pendergrass. It's just too complex to try to insert now.
Again, it was a safety matter, and I just wanted to bring it to your attention. How about the increased fines for blocking fire hydrants or driveways?
Listen, initially when I worked with staff, I had higher fines. I was told to lower them. I am fine with higher fines. I've certainly been familiar with parking. I certainly governed on Sanibel for 13 years. We had significant fines. It certainly has a backlash that will come with that as well.
Well, if you block my driveway, you deserve.
Listen,
it should leave you with a scar.
My initial draft was certainly higher, so I am not opposed to higher.
Yeah, if the motion maker would like to add the $500 fine for blocking a driveway, I would not be opposed to that. I'd amend my second if that's something the motion maker wants.
I definitely will do that.
All right, then I'll amend my second as well. And do we need to, I'd love to ask for the attorney, do we need to spell that out?
Please restate the actual amounts, please.
I'm sorry?
Please restate the actual amounts.
$500 if you block a driveway.
Perfect.
Residential driveway. Right?
Residential driveway.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. Next item.
I might tap out.
Okay.
I still struggle a bit, respectfully, and this has been a great dialogue, and I sincerely appreciate it. And I don't know if Commissioner Greenwell has any comments to add as well, because again, it's hard for him to participate as easy as being here. But pulling the beach access was never part of the February, April you know, that was an escalation beyond where this began on the original motion last year and earlier this year. And I wish that could be walked back, but I think there's going to be repercussions with the governor, and who's in charge of the DP and funding, and I hope it doesn't happen that way, but I have my concerns. So if there's no appetite for a discussion on walking that back, I will respectfully step back.
Certainly have worked with staff, certainly worked with Steve Patel, understand there could be consequences, but certainly it's not as clear as what I've heard today.
No, and respectfully, a lot of the people that participated with their private counsel to write their own custom ordinance said if there's things that need to be adjusted that shake out, they want our help to fix it. So I guess we'll be open-minded to.
I'm definitely open-minded. It's an ordinance that's breathing and certainly has the ability to tweak and make adjustments. But I'm good where I'm at. Any other comments? With that, I'll close all the comments from council. Commissioner Greenwell, I'm sorry. Commissioner Greenwell, you have anything to say?
Yeah, I think it was a great discussion today. Obviously, a lot of opinions, and there's been a lot of work done on this. So we're very close to getting this done and tickled to death. And I just can't thank the commissioners enough. Everyone's really worked hard to try to put this together, and hopefully we can move forward and everyone, it works out good for everyone.
Thank you. So I have a motion, a second on the floor. Anyone opposed? Seeing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Do you want to push to 1:30?
I appreciate it.
Happy to work on it. What, 5 minutes? We'll take a quick 5-minute break.
I think that's a good idea.
Oh, let the chamber. the Lee County Commission meeting will reconvene. Just want everyone to understand, we do have a public budget workshop. As long as the commissioners are okay, I'd like to move that from 1:30 to 2 o'clock. Everyone gets an opportunity to take a little bit of a break and start at 2 o'clock.
I'll second.
Everybody okay with that? You need a motion, sir?
No, sir, we're fine.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Appreciate that. Next item is commissioner appointments. Commissioner Hammond.
None today, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Pendergrass.
I have some. I have a reappointment of Carl Baxter, the Community Action Agency Advisory Board, reappointment of Linda Wright of the St. Carlos Park Special Improvement District, and reappointment of Christopher Scott of the Land Development Code.
Second.
I have a motion, a second. I'll take any public comment. Seeing none, I'll close public comment. I'll bring it back up to the dais. Any discussion? Anyone opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Commissioner Malaka.
So I have 5 appointments. So the first one is Donald Woodruff to the Disaster Advisory Council, Jenny Carley to the Historic Preservation Board, Philip Buck, Roadway and Landscape, Stephen Brown, Roadway and Landscape, and Albert O'Donnell to Roadway and Landscape.
A motion, a second. Thank you. I'll go to public comment. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll close public comment. I'll bring it back up to the dais. Any discussion? Seeing none. I do have a new item. It's committee. I'm going to propose a Boca Grande parking panel that actually operates underneath our jurisdiction. I have 7 members that I'd like to appoint. Bo Gems, Mark Sturgeon, Richard Gannon, Barbara McLaughlin, Louis Sarkis, Hugh Sullivan, and Richard Weber.
Is that a board?
That's a new board to actually work on this new ordinance going forward, meet on a monthly basis, advertise it, have open to public, so we have an opportunity to do all the, any type of changes that need to take place, anything we find out.
So is this a commissioner item for future discussion? Or are you trying
I actually, that's my motion on the floor to actually move forward with.
Would they be under sunshine or anything?
Yes, yeah, regular, every committee that we have, it'd be under sunshine, we'd have to post the agenda, open to the public, minutes.
Second it for some discussion?
Sure.
Sure, and I'd love to hear from the county attorney if we can we just set up a panel like this that,
Well, what I was going to, Mr. Chairman, what I was going to
Absolutely.
suggest is we interpret your motion to direct staff to develop the committee within the administrative code framework that the county currently has, naming those members and creating the charge, and then we'll bring that back for formal board ratification.
Love your idea, thank you.
Thank you.
yeah.
I'll gladly
second that.
move along those lines. I'll make that a motion?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So we'll get to vote on it again in the future.
Okay.
Bring it
So
back,
just a
form it
quick
a little bit.
question. I didn't write down everybody's names. That you
Yeah,
just-
no problem, no problem. This way we'll circle it
Are
around.
all 7 of those members in favor of the ordinance we just passed?
I don't
today?
know.
I mean, do we have an
We
excellent?
got application. But we'll bring it back for the next meeting and,
Okay.
or the meeting after, whatever. I just
Fair
want to
enough.
make sure. I don't have any other appointments. Commissioner Greenwell, any appointments?
No, Chairman, I have none.
Okay. I'm sorry, I have a motion, a second on the floor. Anyone opposed?
Well, do we have public comment?
Do we have any public comment on it? I'm sorry. Seeing none, I'll close public comment.
I was going to say, I was going to support the motion. This is, for the future, like, we just got through with this ordinance here, trying to reduce all the drama in the future with the whole Boca Grande thing, and it's nice to have. I want to have more discussion about this in the future. Is that something the committee has usually set up? I know we had this issue in the past. I remember there's some committees before. I know we had some commissioners appoint all 5 people to it or something. Is that something we all appoint people to, or does it be one commissioner appointed? This is all to protect all of us, just for, just have less drama within the community. Is that something usually one commissioner appointed to? Because I know we had a question before about the bond thing, and we had another committee before. It was like one person that appointed all the people to it instead of other commissioners. So is that something normally just one commissioner appoints?
Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely.
As we understand the charge, it was to create the administrative code to establish the board. The members that the chairman enumerated would be the first members of that board. And if there were any other directions given for future membership, we can discuss it with you at the meeting in which the administrative code comes back for discussion. But it was our understanding, based on the board's suggestion, that was the original slate of members.
Concur.
And like I said, my only question is only so to protect yourself, Commissioner Wayne, and all of us, so in the future, we don't have to have that. We've had those discussions in the past, over the last 12 years. There were committees where there's only, for some reason, there's one commissioner. I pointed all these people to this financing committee, and I was like, how did that happen? So there's reduced any type of.
I'm all in favor of what the county attorney said, and what I'm looking to do is have a regular, with the administrative code, a committee that actually, follows all our guidelines. You're at the committee we appoint to. You know what, we all get to appoint people, and I just want to make sure they understand it. There's minutes, there's, a public announcement. You can see them, you can go to them, and public has an opportunity to participate. That's what I was trying to get to, and I appreciate the comments, county attorney, and I acquiesce to your suggestion, and that's my motion.
Can I just ask you, how many people were on your motion? How many?
7.
7, okay. Are you open to having multiple commissioners appointed?
I'm open to this coming back at another time, and we could have the discussion. I'm not narrow-minded.
And also, would staff be working with this committee in the future? Because if, for example, if your help got through this process we went through a few minutes ago, if staff been more involved with that, I think it would help with, obviously, the enforcement issue and actually implementing it. But now, with this committee, since they're going to be working on the orders we just passed, it's already done, we'll be working with staff to.
I'll acquiesce to the county attorney again.
Mr. Chairman, we would view this as any other standing committee appointed by the board. There would be staff liaison and staff support to ensure that the committee functioned in the sunshine and the necessary records were kept, the public notices were issued. So yes, we would anticipate staff being in support of this committee.
And just to add on what you said, I think today I just was struggling to understand the fishing issue, and I just wanted, there's probably going to be a couple of tweaks like that we missed, and I just thought a parking panel could at least have us all come up with and talk about this. I'm not looking to try to have any more drama, but I know that this is a breathing ordinance that has the ability to be flexible, and we might need to make some tweaks to it.
And that's what I'm saying. We all have the right intentions, the good intentions to improve this area, and then hopefully working with the community and being, open with it will help it.
So we'll come back on the 19th if we're able to do so. If not, we'll do it at a subsequent meeting. I'm flexible either way.
Thank you, sir. As quickly as possible.
Okay. I have a motion and a second on that. Any other discussion? It'll come back before us. We could have another discussion. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay. We now go to all commission appointments are done. Any commissioner items? Commissioner Hammond?
I have none today.
Commissioner Pendergrass?
No.
Commissioner Mulligan?
None.
Commissioner Greenwell? Any commissioner items?
No, I have none.
I don't have any either. County manager?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have one item. It's the Lee Cares Hurricane Housing Recovery Update. I'd like to ask Mr. Salyer to present.
Thank you, Commissioners. Just one action item for your consideration. Under the Helene Milton CDBG-DR Lee Cares program, I'm glad to report that things are moving quickly. Our goal is to be the first jurisdiction actually swinging hammers on individual home reconstruction projects, and we're moving towards that goal. We have found about 20 applicants thus far who don't have any Helene Milton damage, but do have Hurricane Ian damage, and they appear to otherwise be eligible for the program. And so we'd like to ask you to authorize us to reopen the window to take Hurricane Ian Lee Cares applications to try to take care of these individuals.
So moved.
Yeah,
Second.
I'll second it. Yeah, thank you.
I have a motion and a second. Any public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back up to the desk. Any other comments, any items?
This is something that a lot of people in my district brought up on the beach areas and asked for this specific help. So the hurricane survivor group, so I'm grateful that they have a second bite at the apple, whatever you can do to help.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you.
Any opposed? Seeing none, motion carries unanimously. County Attorney?
Nothing further, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Public participation. Willie Joe. And
Very long meeting. If the sun goes and go like the pantry, as always, there's a need to move forward with the homeless and the low-income housing.
I've proposed for a long time having Heritage Park be a youth hostel, or a hostel, okay? The Suncoast property, as you know, before it was bought, I mentioned that there was property near there that could be utilized to aid that community center. That's why that property was bought. If there's some, you know, back in the day, people built their own houses. They didn't need long drawn out plans to do something. This is was owned by an old plumber. It's a half acre. It could very well easily have something built on it, or that trailer could be a school project for the college. Take pallets, stucco it, because you ever been in a trailer, you know how hot they are? Unless windows are like $150 and up or and that, make it look like something that's, you know, architecturally nice, you know? Charlie's had some good ideas. That's why that property was bought, to aid our communities. Now, I talked to Diane, our councilwoman, that's an architect, and I told her to give it to you, Ryan. I gave $20 for lunch. You weren't here last month, so I left it with her, and you guys have lunch and discuss this, because the place is not the way it is, with the windows out of it, it's not really livable. I mean, I can live anywhere. I mean, I've been a homeless advocate trying to get people off the street. I have a girl that's with the Hope Clubhouse that's been through ECHO. She plants trees and that. So there is jasmine fruit on there that's lady from India says is very expensive, like a little $5 for a little plate of it in there. I gave her stuff to plant to put out there and that. One of the other pantries gave me an old restaurant sink that we tore out years ago. We could put it out there to wash stuff and properly. So it could be an asset to that after hours for the community center, plus benefit and have house some people in our community. And then I can go to Roswell or whatever, where my grandmother was, do something there too. I've been here since 2009 advocating. Let's work together as a community and as a world, you know? We rely on tourism. Let's show the rest of the world that we do care. Like the pastor said, unity and that. Ask God for guidance. So I have to get back helping them, but I want that place developed. And I know it takes time to get money, but we need to know, I mean, I could be digging like I did this week. I had to put a mailbox up for somebody.
Thank you, Willie
Okay?
Joe, your time's up.
So let's work together.
Thank you.
I need solved soon.
Thank-
It's been
thank
2
you.
years. Thank you.
Sure. Come on up for a public comment. You want to come up? Come on up.
Good afternoon, Linda Shelmer, I'm here for the record. I have is this something that can be put onto the screen, please? Thank you. So I want to begin this, and just to note, Lee County Domestic Animal Services has been operating their facility without a valid permit from the Florida Department of Business and Public Regulation for 3 months, May 1st through 7/21. No oversight by a responsible veterinarian. Kevin the cat was killed not because of the non-existent stray hold. He was killed because an unlicensed person was not being monitored and made a medical decision that resulted in the wrongful execution of a family pet. Mr. Morris sat up here on June 3rd and filled the community full of what appears to be untruths. He stated that they instituted a 24-hour hold immediately for cats. I have a page of 105 cats that no longer will be able to make it home to their families. 66 were executed within 24 hours, and 34 were transferred, never to see their families again. In addition, I have 31 dogs that were on a 3-day hold that were slaughtered on their 4th day, possibly minutes after their hold was up. Every one of these dogs had part of their stray hold inclusive of a Sunday, of which they are not open. Their very own website, right up here, states to call for the families to call the answering service. The service would notify an on-duty police officer to contact to place a hold for the pet to the end of the next business day, and that they are to call. So what's happening is they're being told no.
Lee County has told the answering service to not put the call through, they will not take it, and to tell that person to call back on Monday between the hours of 8 and 4. This is leading the owners to believe their dogs and animals are safe until 4 p.m. on Monday. They are walking through the facility, and their animals have already been absolutely killed, executed, before they can arrive, before 4 p.m. In addition, when you call there, nobody answers. I spent over 25 minutes trying to get through the other day. I got hung up on 3 times and left on hold. Recently, a 9-month puppy was slaughtered as a result of this failure. Many families have been reaching out to our group for justice because the same thing has happened to them. Mr. Mora and Mr. Pablo Adorno are appearing to be incapable of running a facility that is not only humane, but a facility that follows the laws of the state and their very own policies. They are not transparent about what goes on behind those closed doors, and you commissioners are aiding and abetting them in their systemic failure by your lack of action and concern. Mr. Pendergrass sat up here not too long ago and publicly slandered my very group of people that come here pleading for change and help. We're not going to sit back and allow the execution anymore. We are demanding change. If you all put as much energy into trying to fix the animal crisis here as you spent during the recent BoCC workshop trying to
Sorry,
finagle...
your time's up. I apologize.
That's okay.
Any other public comments? Seeing none, I'll close public comment.
There was that one lady that had that code case in North Fort Myers.
Yeah.
Can we give that card to staff, maybe? And
Sure. Yeah, she left.
She did leave some folders there, so maybe we'll jump into that. I believe it's one, talking to my assistant, that the staff's working on. I think that's in our district or adjacent to it. But I do want to have a conversation, I should have said it at Commissioner item, someday about, we got to work on, I think, having better consequences or tougher consequences for homeowners who just repetitively, continually, willfully violate codes and hold their neighbors hostage with houses that are just health hazards, I believe, and eyesores. I mean, so, you know, I would love to have that conversation with you gentlemen and our county attorney to see what we can do to you know, improve that for the community, because it's just unfair. Some people, their whole neighborhood, the quality of life for those folks is being held hostage by one person who just won't abide by the codes, you know. Second that.
I agree. With no other items before us, I'll call an adjournment. See everybody at 2 o'clock at the workshop. Thank you.